Hello and welcome everybody to the C Plus podcast. This is the second test episode. I am one of your hosts, Shogun Shin, and joining me as always is my co-host X Ginkgo.
Hi everybody.
Alright, so like I said, this is our second test episode for the podcast. Hex and I are just this is just a variety podcast where we just talk about stuff that interests us, stuff that, has happened to us maybe over the weekend or in our lives and all that good stuff. And the first thing that I want to talk about that was brought to my attention the last time we filmed the podcast is that you don't like my outros.
No, I don't.
So let's talk about this for a hot second.
The first thing on my list. Yeah, I've literally since since I've been watching you, it's just like as soon as I know that you're winding down, I'm like, all right, I need to leave before I have to listen to this.
Wow, it's that bad? You hate it that much?
It's not my favorite.
I'm personally offended right now.
That's fine.
Almost as offended at the fact that we are not on a first name basis.
I mean,
it wounds me to know.
You know my cat's names?
Yeah. Wait, no, actually, I only know one of the cat's names.
You don't know Holly?
No.
Oh. Well, there's Hex and Holly.
How many cats? You only have two? I think you had three.
I only have two. No, I have two. Well, I also take care of an outside cat.
Oh, yeah, you have that stray.
Yeah. Her name is June.
June. So Hex, Holly, and June.
Yep.
So your name is based off of...
My name is based off of my Xbox Live gamer tag, my random one that I got way back when, because I really wanted to play Modern Warfare 3, and then so way back in the day, you used to be able to make a new account. You got a free month of Xbox Live, right? So the random name that they gave me was Hexagonal Paper 2, and I just ran with it because everybody's like, that's actually not terrible.
Oh, so that's like you didn't even make that name. It was just
nope.
Like you just got it and you just kept it.
Yep.
Oh.
And I was gonna change it, and everybody's like, no, just keep it.
If you were going to change your username or like your brand, what would you change it to?
From what it is now?
Yeah.
Nothing. Like, I actually don't have it because what I tried to do was Ginkgo. Mm-hmm. And because my original name on Twitch was Lunit Fox, and then I changed it because that was a part of a group of friends that I was in that we just don't do anything together anymore. So that was my same name on League of Legends. And then I changed it to Ginkgo because I watched an anime called Mushishi. Really good anime, by the way. We should talk about that at some point. And have you ever watched Full Metal Alchemist?
Yeah.
Okay. So the reason I liked it so much, the story's really cool. The character's really awesome. But the main character's name is Ginkgo, and he's voiced by the guy who does Roy Mustang.
Oh, okay.
And so I loved it. It was really cool. It was like all about spirituality, and like this guy goes into towns that are being oppressed by spirits or whatever, and he's just a chill dude, and he has white hair, and that's like my favorite thing ever. Like any character that I have, I always give him white hair. And yeah, so his name is Ginkgo. And nobody ever knew how to say it right. They always said Jinko. And I'm like, nope. So I changed it to Hex Ginkgo.
That's hilarious and super unfortunate, actually.
Yep. So, yeah.
Huh,
to get back onto our original point, yeah, I don't like your outro.
Yeah, you don't like my outro. Okay, all right. So let me ask you this then: if I were to change my outro to something that you actually, okay, no. First question: why don't you like my outro? Aside from the fact that it's just not your thing. Like, is it just awkward, or is it just like?
I think it's just awkward. It's not like it. At least you have something. So I mean, like I can't give you crap necessarily because I don't have anything. Like. I think that an outro itself is really hit or miss in general, like across the board. Either like you have a great one or you don't. And I don't.
In this case, I don't.
Well, I just think that it's a little weird, and I
weird.
don't know
All
what
right.
it is necessarily.
What don't you like about it? Is the next question.
I think it was just my initial impression was just like, that's fucking weird, and it's just lasted that long. I think is more than anything, because now that I think about it, I'm like, it's not that bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, last question about it. What would be some things that you would suggest that I change to be less weird, I guess?
That's a good question. I'm literally I'm going over it and I'm like, It's more the you're the audience part.
Okay.
I think that's really it. I was like, the first time I heard that, I was like, the fuck? And I'm not entirely sure why.
Well, I mean, I do that just because of the intro is my name is Shogun Shin and you are the audience. So
yeah, I think
it's
addressing the audience in that way is weird.
Addressing the audience as the audience.
Yeah. And I think the very first time that I watched you, there was like two people in your in your chat, and I was like, the audience of two people.
Well,
okay.
I mean that's one of the things that when I first started streaming too was that I think that's one of the things that I first learned about streaming was you have
to talk to people who aren't there.
It's like it's not even just that. It's like I have to pretend that there are people watching.
Yeah,
and that was the hardest thing.
That's definitely something I've had to do.
Yeah, so like doing an intro like that just kind of it got me into that mindset of like I am talking, even though I could be talking to no one, I could be talking to two people, but I'm gonna pretend that I'm talking to at least 10, at the very least. And then also, it's actually interesting that you say that you don't saying. Calling the chat the audience, you think that's weird. I actually don't like it when people say chat or
chat.
Yeah, I don't like calling chat just because it just for me that's weird. That makes me uncomfortable.
I just say everybody. I mean, because audience is very impersonal, and chat is more direct and like you know exactly what you're talking about. In a Twitch sense.
Yeah.
But I've actually been watching this series on YouTube.
It's Maximilian dude. He plays fighting games generally, but we've been watching him play Resident Evil 4 all the way through. And he talks and he like says, "Hey chat, how's it going?" And it's a YouTube video of a really old Twitch like stream. It's like 12 hours long.
Oh, wow.
So it does disconnect you a little bit. So I get it from that sense. Like if we were doing this live, then that's different.
Yeah.
Because I've seen plenty of podcasts that they do on Twitch and they're like, "Hey chat, how's it going?" Because they're directly talking to them. But we don't have anybody that we are necessarily directly talking to.
I always say, I think on stream when I'm addressing chat, I always say guys. Or like you guys or hey guys. I only ever reference them as the audience when it's just in intros and outros, just because of that's just. I guess at that point it's just formality, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like that way, because I guess it's one part me future proofing and another part of me just I like setting the stage of like this is like the video starts here and the video ends here. And it just helps me, especially since I have to edit this stuff. So it's like if I ever, because like usually when I edit, especially for the too long didn't watches, I usually try to find like some sort of funny moment just to take out of context. But like if I'm really lazy, I will literally like the video will just start like that, like 100%. It'll just start that way if I'm really really lazy or I can't find anything. So it at least gives me like an out if I ever need to when I edit.
Let's see. Oh god.
It also
okay,
I think
so I used to
like,
have
another future proofing thing is that like it also gives me just like a staple of like this is just something that I always say. So that way so it's like if you ever think like if you take anything away from my stream, maybe potentially that's one of the things that you take away is that I always say audience. I always say you are the audience.
I mean, it works for you. And like, as long as you have that, that's, good.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. You ever since you said that, I've been like super self-conscious about it because I'm just like, oh, Hex doesn't like my intro. Hex doesn't like my outro. Like,
I used to have.
I was like, I've been.
Oh yeah, that's what I. Okay, so mine used to be even worse because I used to go by Tate.
Yeah.
Like that was my online persona essentially. Okay. And mine was super cringy. Like, so I was originally just going to do YouTube videos, like Let's Play stuff.
Yeah.
And then, because I just had a Elgato, it was way easier for me to just capture video instead of trying to stream it.
Right, yeah.
So the whole reason that I chose Tate was because I really liked American Horror Story, and I really liked the name. And one of his lines is, "Hi, I'm Tate, I'm dead. Do you want to hook up or something?" Because he's a ghost.
Oh, okay.
So, like, my intro for all of my videos was going to be, I had to go through old documents just to find this, is, "Hi everybody, I'm Tate, I'm dead, welcome to story time." And that's what it was.
I like that. I do like
welcome
that.
to story time on blank game, is essentially what it was going to be.
That's good. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
That's actually not that bad. That's not even that cringy. That's pretty good.
Well, it's more like all the things culminating together. Like when you realize like it's based off of a show, the character's name or the persona's name is based off of a character from a show. Like, so it's not even me, and it's making a quote from the show. Like, when you think about it, it's a little weird, but it was just something that I was like, I think people would like this.
Yeah.
And now, like, nobody I know watches American Horror Story or even understands that reference.
I've actually never seen American Horror Story. Like,
it's pretty good. Especially the first season where that whole thing is
quick tangent, though, off of you saying the American Horror Story, there is a great comic that I've read. It's completely done. The whole series is done. Called, I think it's Melvina's Therapy, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
It's on Webtoons. If you like American Horror Story, you will probably really like this. It's super fucked up. It's all about this therapist, and basically all over every one of her clients obviously goes to this therapist for therapy, obviously. But it's like a complete and utter mindfuck whenever they go. Mm-hmm. And so I highly recommend it. It's very American Horror Story-esque. Granted, I've never seen American Horror Story, so I don't really know a whole lot. But it's really, really cool. It's really spoopy.
Spoopy.
But and now going back to our original topic, like you, I also was gonna do Let's Play style stuff, and just do YouTube. Period.
Yeah.
And then I found out that just recording myself is a nightmare.
Yeah, it's
so
weird.
awkward because it's like I think it's so weird to record myself because I know that no one's watching this. I know it's just me by myself versus when I'm streaming. There's at least the potential of somebody is actually watching this right now.
Yeah.
So if you go, it's so weird.
That was something that I noticed because I really got into the idea of doing it because of Achievement Hunter.
Yeah.
Like you did. So, and then I got really into Markiplier. Really into him. Mm-hmm. I think like one of the first videos I ever watched him do was Outlast or something. That was one of the earlier series that I saw him do.
I think one of the first Markiplier videos I ever watched was Five Nights, classically.
Five Nights at Freddy's?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually that might have been it. That might have been the original, and then I got really into Outlast because I remember watching those, I think, as they released. But I decided to go back and watch some of his older stuff, and everybody's older stuff is always going to be worse, like just across the board, because there's lessons that they've learned. There's like people's setup changes, their audio, their visual, like everything is different. And you can tell that he is not as accustomed to doing it. And there's something else that I've noticed And I don't know if it's just how he does it, because he doesn't stream on Twitch much, but I think he streams on YouTube, and then he takes those YouTube playthroughs and then edits them down, because he does talk to people every once in a while during his playthroughs. So I think that's a big part of it, is like, it does feel more natural him talking to somebody because he is actually directly mentioning something. And also he used to, like, even if he wasn't talking to anybody directly, like if he wasn't streaming, he would either have a bunch of comments memorized or have like a list of comments that he would reference and then talk about, which I think also helped like understanding kind of context and like being able to bring something up if he didn't have any like thing to say about the game.
Yeah, right.
And also reacting, like overreacting is a huge thing in just straight Let's Plays.
Yeah, obviously.
And I think that's why I have a hard time streaming games solo, because I get very focused, and when I get focused, I get really quiet.
Yeah, that's another thing that I learned when I first started streaming. And you could very clearly see this in, like, if you go back to when I first started in some of my 2016 streams in the archive. Like, there are like 30-second stretches where I'm just not talking. Because I'm just completely wrapped up in whatever I'm doing, and I mentally had to just tell myself, when was the last time you spoke? And if you don't remember, you need to say something right now. Actually, when I went to TwitchCon last summer in San Diego, it was actually really cool because they had an improv class there. They were doing an improv workshop, and that was just like one of the things I asked one of the guys that was like doing it. I was like, one of the problems that I have is, a lot of the times I don't know what to say, or like I just can't think of something to say. And it's like, what are some things that I can do to kind of improve that? And he's like, literally, if like, what he asked me, like, what do you play primarily? I'm like, I play like adventure games, role play, like primarily RPGs. And he's like, that's the perfect stuff that you could ever want. And if you ever need something to say, he was saying that like when he's playing like Breath of the Wild or something like that, if he's like, because since Breath of the Wild is a massive game, and you're just there are spans of time where you're just traveling. Like if he's just like traveling and it's like boring and you're not doing anything, he'll just like randomly mark something out and he'll like just go off about it. Like oh, there's a tree. Like it's like he'll just make like a song about like a random tree or like a bush. Like it's something completely stupid, and it may not make any sense, but at least you're saying something, and it's engaging enough that it keeps people's attention.
Yeah, I mean, but that can be hard to do.
Oh yeah, no, it's super hard.
Especially
I'm still working on it too.
Like a several 100-hour game like Breath of the Wild. I mean, and you can just like be like, oh hey, have I done this before? Yeah. Well,
there's that thought process to it, but how I see it is, this is something that I've noticed from a lot of times from just watching YouTube videos. Again, specifically Achievement Hunter, is that yes, you do run the problem of, oh, have I done this before? But at the same time, you can play off of that of just honestly repeating the same joke can actually be really beneficial. As long as you can spin it in a way that's relatively
entertaining.
Yeah, that's relatively entertaining.
Yeah,
so it's like,
as long as you don't kill the joke yourself.
Yeah.
By overdoing it, but doing it with a frequency with which at a frequency with which it will remain fresh and funny enough in people's minds. It's a hard balance to get, because like landing a good joke is great, but repeating the joke can not be good. Like when you watch stand up and then you watch you watch some Robin Williams stand up. Actually, no, I think a better example is Jeff Dunham. Jeff Dunham was super big for a long time. And especially when I was in high school, a lot of people referenced him. And my parents bought several of their specials. They loved him. And in 3 of those 4 specials, they were almost exactly the same. And it's not necessarily that he doesn't have content. He's doing a specific tour, and he's going to all of these different locations, and they're recording it. But I mean, because that's just how comedy, like, a dude will have his bit and he'll just go to a bunch of different places and do his tour, and they're gonna all have the same stuff. But the thing about him was that these were different tours at different times in different places.
That's so weird.
Yeah, and so
super weird.
Most of his stuff is recycled. Some of it is like slightly changed.
Yeah,
but
like,
it was mostly his improv that he would accidentally fuck something up, and then he would say something that was really funny. Because he is a natural comedian, so he's able to play it off really well. But most of it's just like, oh, hey, I've already heard this, and it's still funny, but it's not as funny as the first time you heard it.
Yeah, that's weird. That's super strange.
I mean, I don't want to like bag on Jeff Dunham. It was just something that I've noticed, and it's something about stand-up comedy that I have noticed in general. Like, I have a lot of respect for stand-up comedians because it's a really hard profession. Yeah. I love what's his name? Oh, I talk about him all the time. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm blanking. John Mulaney. I love him. John Mulaney. He's my current favorite comedian. Funny. I need to watch season 2, 3 of Big Mouth. Season 3.
A comedian that I am a huge fan of currently is a female comedian. Her name is Taylor Tomlinson. And the way that I kind of found out about her was, I guess Conan O'Brien does occasionally does stand up, they'll bring stand up comedians and have a segment, and she was one of the people that he brought in, and she's fucking hilarious. She's so funny. She was I guess she has a new Netflix special. I think either it's coming out or it already came out, called Quarter Life Crisis. And one of the jokes that she has is that I think she's in her late 20s, and she's like, I'll be honest, I am so excited to almost be done with my be done with my 20s. I am fucking over my 20s. Because the whole thing about your 20s is that you're still figuring shit out because you don't have any life experience to cash in on. You don't have a gut to listen to right now because it's still not there because you're not packing on pounds yet. And then she was also talking about I guess she grew up in a really religious family, and so I guess when she was originally dating, she would she would go on dates and she'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not ready. I'm saving myself for marriage. I'm not ready to I'm not ready to do stuff. And the guys would be like, oh no, it's totally cool. It's totally fine. And she goes, when a guy says that you don't have to put out or do anything like that, it is the hottest thing that they can ever say. Cause it's just yeah, totally cool. We don't have to do something. And it's oh, now we do. It's so now.
Oh, now I have something to prove.
Now I gotta prove something. It's and then she's so now that I'm dating, I have this tactic that I use. I call it the chocolate factory rule, where I'll go on a date and I'm like, oh no, sorry, I'm not ready, I'm not gonna do it. If the guy goes, totally fine, it's all cool, we don't have to do it, I'll just I whip it, it's like a test and be like, Charlie, you won. Step into my chocolate factory, it's all for you, my boy. And she's amazing. She's so hilarious. Funny. Yeah.
I definitely don't watch much stand-up.
There was
if there's a special of John Mulaney's, I'll watch it. But even then, I'm like,
There was
maybe not.
Weird brief period of my time where all I would watch were comedy specials. It was I went through this weird phase of I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. And then I just was like, I'm not funny enough.
You're I have to be on stage.
I would have to be on stage, and I'd have to be super on, and I'm like, that's not, no. I'd rather not.
He's off. Are you actively streaming?
No, I'm recording. So yeah, the webcam is on.
Is that Xavier again?
Okay. No, Emily's taking off her pants.
Oh.
It's fine, I'm wearing shorts.
She's wearing shorts though.
I mean, that's not nearly as interesting, but it's still not great.
We're just gonna.
I'm wearing shorts.
Okay, you're fine.
You
Anyway.
never know, the FBI agent might be looking.
Hi, Fred.
Fuck, what was my FBI agent's name again?
I don't remember.
I think it might have been Dan.
Dan?
I think it
You
might have been
picked Dan?
I'm gonna pick Dan now because I definitely don't remember. See, now my FBI agent's
Greg.
offended.
He's just like, my name
He's
isn't
sad.
Dan.
Like, I thought we had something.
It's Jerry.
Jerry's a good one.
Huh?
I said Jerry's a good one.
Jerry's a good one. Jerry, the FBI agent.
Jerry, the FBI agent.
Yeah.
So,
And mine is Dr. Bob. First name Fred. So his name is Fred Bob.
wait, he's a doctor?
He's a doctor.
What do you... Okay, wait, hold on. He's a doctor. What did he get his degree in? Is it a-
Optometry.
Okay, so he's an actual doctor.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I was just curious of whether or not you were considering him to be an actual doctor, or he's one of those fake
or
doctors.
he got like a PhD.
Yeah, he got a PhD. He's a fake doctor. He's not an actual
Nah,
doctor.
he was an optometrist, but he still goes by Dr. Bob.
But he works for the FBI.
Optometrist FBI for the FBI. That's
Did I tell you? So, well, at least I'm glad that he's at least a real doctor, unlike a dentist who they are not real doctors, obviously.
Isn't your uncle a doctor?
He
A
was, then he
dental?
retired.
Oh, okay.
He was, but no, it's when I worked for my uncle at his dentist's office, we would always constantly joke around that dentists aren't real doctors because
That's fucked up.
If you think about it, a lot of the time, like dentists don't really do that much in a medical sense.
No.
Like you're not
really
going to the dentist's office and you to find out that your teeth have cancer. That's not.
Well, I think there's a really big difference between dentists, like at a local dentist office, and then dental surgeons. Because dental surgeons actually have a shit ton of stuff that they have to do. And you have to be a whole other level of, like, certified.
Yeah.
Because when I got my wisdom teeth out, I couldn't go to my normal dentist. He's like, I have to ship you out to, the best dental surgeon in the state or, like, on the
wisdom
coast.
teeth did you get taken out, by the way?
5.
You got 5?
I had 5.
Fuck! Shit! I was here sitting proud of my 4. Shit!
Yeah, so I had what's called a supernumerator, and it was perpendicular to my other teeth.
Hey, all 4 of mine were perpendicular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all of mine were coming in fine.
Okay.
But the 5th one was like, I don't know how to describe it. So essentially, there's your jawline, and it was, I think it was above. So it was like basically in my cheekbone.
Mine were literally like, they took an X-ray, and I remember going to the appointment. They took an X-ray. They looked at the X-ray. They looked back at me, and then back at the X-ray, and they go, "Are you feeling okay?" And I go, "Yeah, fine." Why? You're like, "Do you feel any pain, like at all? Like even the slightest amount?" I go, "No. Should I be?" And they showed me the X-ray, and literally all 4 of my wisdom teeth were perpendicular to my regular teeth, and they were just like jam-packed, pressing against the back of my mouth.
Damn.
And they're like, according to this X-ray, you should be in this like agonizing pain right now. Like you should be on the ground dying of pain. And I'm like, oh, yeah, no, I feel fine. Like I'm good.
I don't feel anything.
I don't feel anything. And I remember before I got my wisdom teeth taken out, I remember I got a haircut like a couple weeks prior. And the person who was cutting my hair, she told me that she had gotten her wisdom teeth taken out 2 years ago at that point. And I guess the surgeon fucked up and he removed the wrong teeth for the surgery.
How do you?
I don't know. I don't know.
Like you should know which ones are the wisdom teeth.
Right. But so
it's kind of your job.
So
there's only how many teeth in your face, and you counted the wrong ones.
Well, so he took out I guess essentially her molars, I guess, the ones like just right in the very back. He took those ones out, and I remember she told me this, and I go, That sounds like a potential lawsuit if I've ever heard of one. And she's like, so yeah, so like we were going to, but then my wisdom teeth just kind of filled the holes, so it kind of didn't matter. Like, it sort of just kind of resolved itself. So I mean, we felt like there wasn't really a big need to. And I go, okay,
all right then.
All right, I guess the problem solved itself. I guess, but still, that's some pretty serious malpractice right there. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's not good. I mean, it could have ended up being way worse because they could have still come and fucked up.
Oh yeah, 100%. But yeah, I was baffled. And then my Glee club director in college, I remember I got my wisdom teeth taken out during fall break, which is essentially just a glorified 3-day weekend. And so I got my wisdom teeth taken out, I believe Friday. And then and then I could recover Saturday, Sunday, Monday, but then I had to go back to class on Tuesday. And so I'm still super hopped up on drugs and painkillers. My face is swollen like a balloon, and it looks like you could tell either I have hives or I got my wisdom teeth taken out. It's one of those two things. But I remember I could not eat solid food forever.
Really?
This is really sad. This is really, really sad. But like, I remember one of like the lowest points of me when I got my wisdom teeth taken out was sitting in like one of the dining hall areas, and I was in so much pain I could barely open my mouth. And so like, because I couldn't eat solid foods, I'd be eating like applesauce, yogurt, mashed potatoes, stuff like that. But I remember sitting in the dining hall, and I couldn't open my mouth wide enough to fit the spoon in my mouth. It wouldn't fit in my spoon. And I remember I tried to eat like a cup of yogurt, and I remember the spoon wouldn't fit in my mouth, and I just like sat there looking, and I almost cried. I was in so much pain, and I was just so sad. It was just like a culmination of so many things that had gone wrong, and I was just like, I can't fucking do anything right now. This is like the lowest point of my life. But I remember going to Glee Club, and I couldn't sing at all.
Yeah, no shit.
Obviously. But I remember like I went up to my director. I was like, hey, I just got my wisdom taken out. Like, I don't know if you could tell. He goes, no, I see the swelling for sure. And I go, yeah. So I'm just gonna sit. I'm here, but I'm just gonna sit and not do anything. He's like, that's perfectly fine. 100%,
okay.
Completely understand. And he told me that apparently, when he got his wisdom teeth taken out, he woke up midway through the surgery.
Oh no.
He woke up midway through the surgery, and he goes, save my teeth, and then he went back to sleep. And when he woke up for like at the end of it, they gave him his teeth, and he had this super confused look and goes, why the fuck are you handing me these? And they go, you told us to save them midway through. He goes, I don't remember doing that. And we're like, well, we saved them for you, so here you go.
They didn't save mine, or at least they said they were going to, and I don't think my dad grabbed them.
Oh, that sucks.
Because my supernumerator, my fifth tooth, was blue.
Oh, that's weird.
It's because of the dye. So they had to dye it so that they could find it.
Cool.
Yeah, so it was completely blue.
Yeah, I remember specifically before we scheduled the surgery, I specifically said you need to save my teeth because I'm gonna want them. 100%. No, they did.
Oh,
but I remember like I was all up on it. I was like, I'm going to keep these teeth because this is fucking radical. And I'm like, I want these so bad.
I remember, so I had never had anesthesia before, and I also had like an aversion to needles, and I'm not necessarily afraid of them. I just had a really, really shitty experience. I tried to give blood in high school. Cause everybody was doing it. I wanted to like be a part of it because I think that my blood type is fairly rare. I can't remember. So I was like,
blood,
might as well.
Have a donor card. It should say.
I didn't get to give blood.
Oh,
that's the thing.
Never mind.
So
that.
I got approved, and they were
what I found out was, at least at my school, most of the people who were doing it were med students. And my med student.
When you say most, you mean like the people giving blood, or like
that are doing the draws.
Oh.
Were med students.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Is what I was told. And so the person who was giving, or who was trying to draw blood, missed 7 times in the same arm. And I was like, and she was fishing, which is also not something you're supposed to do, like at all. So she would get it in my arm, and then she missed, and then she'd go, and like,
no, that's not what you do. That's not what you do.
Just to try and get stick it into the vein. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, ow. So after the 7th time, it might have even been 9, I can't remember. She's like, do you want to try the other arm? And I'm like, no, I'm gonna just go. She's like, okay, well, you can still have some OJ and a cookie. And I'm like, thanks, I'll take the cookie. Because I got really lightheaded. Yeah. Because, my arm was repeatedly stabbed. And my blood pressure is through the fucking roof at this point. So I went to... So this brings me into the dental surgeon's office years later. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, I have an issue with needles because the last time I anybody tried to put something in my arm, they missed a bunch. And he's like, that sounds like a med student. I'm like, yep,
that sounds
I'm pretty
like
sure
a
it was.
Med student.
He's like, here, I'll show you something. And he's like, and he like smacks my arm and he just goes, boop. And he's like, that's how you do it. I'm like,
that's how you find the vein. God. That's exactly how you find the vein.
I'm like super vascular, like I'm crazy vascular, but okay, that sounds like a brag.
It's a weird.
It's not. It's not.
Super
it's,
weird.
It's
Yeah, I'm pretty vascular. Get on my level, bro.
Okay, my veins show really well, except where they need to. Apparently, yeah, I have pale arms, but they're like they stick out like a lot. Except where they need to, like right in the crook of my elbow. Yeah. They hide really, really bad. So that was the issue with the girl, is she just couldn't find them. And one of the reason that she didn't use the other arm initially was because they were even harder to find. So she couldn't find them on the easier arm. And when she asked me, hey, do you want to go to the other one? That was the first thing that popped in my mind. I'm like, you couldn't even get it on the easy one. Why would I want you to go into the other one?
Yeah, but like, haven't you ever like any like Law and Order show, like anything that involved drugs? Like, yeah, you tie the rubber thing around the like bicep of your arm, you hit it a couple times, the vein pops out.
It's not that
fucking
easy.
Go to Wonderland.
It's not that simple.
I mean, it's not, but like it's the same principle.
Oh well, there's one. Okay,
I found it. Never mind. Maybe,
never mind.
She's just bad.
Maybe it is that simple. I remember, so talking about anesthesia, when I got my wisdom teeth taken out. I think this is probably why. I think this is definitely something like a thing that factored into me and my drinking habits. But I remember.
You say teething?
What?
You say teething?
Drinking.
Oh, drinking. Okay.
Yeah, I think this definitely played into my drinking habits. But so I remember,
are we talking alcohol?
Yes.
Or just how you drink? Okay, liquid.
Yeah, we're talking about alcohol.
Alrighty.
But I remember they were prepping me for the surgery. They were getting like my arm prepped for the anesthesia, and I remember they actually stuck the needle in my arm before, to my knowledge, before anything was connected, but I guess it was. Because I remember they put the needle in my arm, I looked at it, and I go, oh, is that for the anesthesia? And that's the last thing I remember. And then I woke up and the surgery was over.
That sounds like it could have been dangerous if nothing was hooked up, because there wouldn't have been anything in that tube except for air. And if they had pushed oxygen straight into your
fucking aneurysm,
you would have died. You would have fucking died.
Yeah, but like it was such a jarring experience to have one coherent thought, and the next thing I know, the nurses and my mother are telling me to wake up because the surgery is over, and I'm just dazed out of my mind. I remember when I was like driving, my mom was taking me home from the surgery. I think I asked her what time it was like 20 times because I was so very confused. But I think that singular experience was just like, I never ever want to black out ever again. Like, if that's the equivalent of blacking out, I never want that to happen to me because that's such a jarring experience.
That sounds awful. Now that I think about it, I've never blacked out. I've never really gotten that drunk before.
Yeah, neither have I. Like, that's the only time I've ever blacked out, and that's the only time I ever want to.
So mine was a bit more gradual. It wasn't like immediate. The surgeon was just like, all right, count down from 10.
Yeah.
And I got to 3.
Dude.
And then I was gone.
I didn't even get
And then I woke up again, and they were like, okay, you're good. And I was like, okay, I'm good. And my dad came in, and he's like, all right, buddy, are you good? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And we got in the car, and I'm like, Dad,
Dude.
I'm good. I kept saying that over and over. Am I good, Dad? He's like, yeah, buddy. And we got home, and I laid down, and then I just watched anime, I think, for the rest of the day. I don't remember if I was in high school or not. I don't
remember what I did after
He's
I
just
got
like,
home.
I think I asked my dad, I was like, hey, do I have to do anything? He's like, no, you don't have to do anything today. Just relax. And he's like, I'm gonna go out and buy you some soup and some other stuff. I'll get you some yogurt. I'm like, thanks, Dad. I love you. I'm good. That's essentially. So they gave me hydrocodone.
Okay.
For the pain management, which I didn't feel anything. Like, I was not in pain. Like, there was some soreness.
Definitely in pain.
I didn't feel anything. I took 3 hydrocodone pills, in like a prescription of like 20. It was either 12 or 20.
Yeah.
So, and I've never abused drugs, except for 1 pill of hydrocodone.
Okay.
I took 1 because I was like, maybe I'm not feeling any, or I took 1 as soon as I got home.
Did it not kick in? Like,
no,
you
it
just
did.
Didn't think it kicked in?
Well, no. So I took 1 as soon as I got home because I was like, hey, we should take 1. Okay. And then I wasn't feeling anything like the next day. I was like, there's some soreness. I know how to deal with pain fairly well. Yeah. There was some soreness, and I was like, maybe I should take 1 just in case. Like, maybe my brain is not registering that I'm in pain. And I got a little loopy. I was like, okay. And then after I had pretty much fully recovered, I didn't have the cotton in my mouth anymore. I wasn't really... I was fine. I was playing League of Legends with my friends, and I kind of got bored, and I was like, I'll be right back, guys. And so we were playing ARAMs, and I took a hydrocodone pill, and I got Ramus, and I got super excited because I was playing Ramus, and I was just rolling around the towers going, whee! Like, just in circles the whole time. And we won. And I was like, this is the coolest fucking thing ever. And there was, so a little while later, maybe another week later, I was like, you know what? I was playing League of Legends again. I was like, you know what? Let's get high. Let's get high and play some ARAMs. And my drugs were gone.
Oh, God
I think my dad took my drugs.
God damn it. I
Demonetized.
That I probably had the same exact painkillers, most likely, or something similar.
Yeah.
But I remember one of the side effects was nausea. And I don't get motion sickness very often, or like not usually. I
don't understand motion sickness at all.
I rarely have to take like Dramamine or Dopamine or whatever.
I don't even know what that shit is.
Well, Dramamine is for, I think Dramamine's for motion sickness and for sleeping, like sleeping on travel.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But so like I never usually have to take any of that because I don't get motion sickness. But I remember sitting in my room one day watching TV. I think it was either watching TV or I was playing video games or something like that. But I remember I was like, I took the pain meds, and my mom was like, if you ever feel like nausea, just let me know, because then we'll get anti-nausea meds as well, because we're allowed to get those. But it's like both she and I were like, Maxwell doesn't get nausea, like that's not gonna happen.
Uh-huh.
But so I remember I took them. I was playing video games in my room, and literally in a second, it felt like I was just on a roller coaster. And
so you got vertigo, like random vertigo, essentially.
It's essentially like random vertigo. I knew I was gonna vomit in like 5 seconds. No. I had to grab a chair. Like it was what that moment was like. It's like literally it was like, oh no! And I remember looking to my left, seeing my trash can, and I grabbed it, and I violently vomited into my trash can. And thankfully, and like it was so loud, my mom heard it on the other side of the house. She came running back, and she goes, "What happened?" I go, "I'm gonna need those anti-nausea meds. I'm definitely gonna need those, because oh my god."
See, if I got motion sickness or had anything like that, when I lived with my dad, my trash can wasn't solid. It was a wicker basket.
Oh yeah.
So that would have been real gross to have to clean out.
You don't put a trash bag in it?
No.
What?
I never needed to. I didn't put food stuff in there.
Oh.
It was just like,
even still, it's just easier to clean out.
Nah, I just
That's gross.
That's
fucking gross.
Yeah. I may have tossed a couple apples in there.
Okay.
And they definitely got moldy.
Ew, gross. That's disgusting.
So
yeah, like the weirdest thing too is that like I wasn't even sitting like in a chair or anything like that. I was sitting on my floor. Like I was as close to the ground I could possibly get, and I got hit with a major wave of vertigo. I was like, I'm going down.
Ouch.
I'm about to crash land, and I need something fast.
So I've never had an issue with motion sickness. And I lived in my my neighborhood basically since the time I was 3 until I was 21. Yeah, I moved out like on my 21st birthday. And so I was really used to my neighborhood, right? Like so much so that we didn't really have a whole lot of stoplights, and we also didn't have very many stop signs until fairly recently, within the last like 5 to 10 years or something.
Okay.
So I would walk around my neighborhood a lot. I didn't have a car readily available, especially for me to always use until I was 19, 20. So I would walk everywhere. And to pass the time of walking, I would read. And people would look at me so weird because I would not stop at corners because I didn't need to.
No, you
because
just keep walking.
I would just keep walking because I would just listen for cars. Because I was so used to my neighborhood, I knew which corners were like more dangerous, which ones were harder to see.
Right.
And I would just listen. So I would just be able to just beeline it wherever I was going while reading. And I read in the car, or I used to read in the car. Now that I'm driving, I try not to do that. Or on planes. Not that I'm on planes very often, but I read because I can't fall asleep.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that was a thing that people could not do. Like legitimately, I've always like read in my car. Or when I was a kid, I would always read or play a video game.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, "How do you do that?" And I'm like, "I just read the words on the page."
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not hard.
Same. That's just like that's just something I always did. And it's like
how is this a thing for people?
Yeah.
You know? How do you get sick from this? It's just keep your head stationary. I don't know. Don't move the book around. It's easy to read. It's a book.
So, circling back to donating blood and stuff like that. The first time I ever donated blood was also back in high school. And I don't know what it was. I think it was just like the aspect of giving blood. For some reason, I just thought it was really cool. Like, I just thought it was a really noble cause. It was, it's really great to, be able to donate something like this. And high school Maxwell was always it was like his lifelong dream to donate blood. Like,
Okay.
I don't know why. It was just like, it was like, dude, donating blood, I fucking peaked, yo.
Alrighty.
And yeah, and I remember, there was, I think only junior and seniors at my school were allowed to donate blood. Just because of, I think it was just because of like consent reasons, and legal reasons. But I remember my junior year, they announced like, hey, we're having a blood drive. If you want to donate blood, you can get special permission to, leave your class and go donate blood and get checked out and blah, 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 all this stuff. And I was just like, fuck yeah, I get to go donate blood. This is awesome. I didn't even care that I was skipping class. That was not even in my mind. Just the fact that I could donate blood was like, yeah, let's fucking do this.
Yeah.
Almost missed it. Almost missed the blood drive.
No.
Just because I forgot what time it started.
Nice.
And so I remember, I was in class and they're like, "Hey, weren't you gonna go to the blood drive?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm gonna go next period." And he goes, "No, it's happening right now." And I go, "Ah, shit!" So I remember I got up, asked my teacher, like, "Hey, can I go donate blood?" They're like, "Yeah, sure. Don't go ahead." I knew people were gonna leave, so it doesn't even matter. We're not doing anything. And I remember the blood drive from where my class was on the other side of the school. And I remember dead sprinting from the one side of the school to the other side of the school. And by the time I got there, my heart's racing, my blood pressure's way up.
Yeah, that's good.
And what made it even worse was the fact that I had heard rumors that some people were being turned away because of health reasons. Some people simply just cannot donate blood. Like, that's just something they cannot do. And so, one, my heart's already racing because I was just sprinting. And then two, now I'm nervous because I'm not even I may not be able to have my dream of donating blood now because I just might not be able to do it. And I remember doing like the whole checkup thing to like get approved to donate blood. I remember they took my pulse. They asked me a bunch of health questions and they took my pulse and they go, "Are you feeling okay?" And I go, "Well, I did just kind of sprint here a little bit." And they go, "Yeah, okay, we figured this. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Your heart rate's a little fast. Have you eaten yet today?" And I go, "Yeah, I ate lunch like an hour ago." I go, "Okay, I'm gonna go check on some other people. You just sit here, catch your breath, and relax a little bit, and we'll go from there, and you should probably be fine, I think." And so eventually I was able to, I got all approved, all got checked out. And I remember, I got the needles in my arm, everything was going fine, everything was being drawn and all that good stuff. And I remember the person that was drawing from me, she looked at kind of how fast the bag was filling, and she's like, "I'm gonna do something, and I just need you to tell me if this hurts or not, okay?" And I go, "Okay, yeah, sure." And she goes, and she takes the needle, and she just kind of twists it a little bit. She just turns it like a key. And I immediately go, "Yeah, okay, it feels like my arm's on fire." And she goes, "Okay, we're gonna turn that back real fast." And I go, "Okay, we're good now." He's like, "Okay, you're kind of drawing a little slow, but we're just gonna leave it like that for a while." And I go, "All right, that's fine. That's cool." And then when I was done, when they were done drawing, I remember they took the needle out of my arm and everything was fine. And literally 5 minutes before I had finished, a girl next to me had just finished, and you always hear that when people draw blood, sometimes they faint and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we kind of all of us had kind of heard about that, and obviously nobody wants it to happen to them. And so the girl next to me, she was a very athletic girl, and she did a lot of sports and stuff like that. And so in my head, I was like, "Oh, she's not gonna faint. That's not gonna happen." And they took the needle out of her arm. They were getting her all situated. They gave her a couple of soda or something like that to raise her blood sugar. And 10 seconds later, everything's fine. 10 seconds later, her eyes roll in the back of her head. She starts leaning back. The cup falls out of her hand. The nurses gather around. They're like, "Liz, Wait, Liz, stay with me, Liz. And I'm just like, I think I'm gonna die now. I think I'm gonna die.
No.
I'm gonna die here. This is what's gonna happen. And like obviously she just fainted for like 15 seconds. She was fine, but it was like real scary. And then so like it was my turn.
Yeah.
I took the needle out of my arm, and again like I was fine. Everything was cool. And then literally 10 seconds later, they're doing the final like finishing touches, and just everything starts like my hearing just starts. Everything starts like closing in. It's as if someone's slowly putting noise canceling headphones on my ears, and then my vision just goes completely black, and I'm just like sitting in my chair of like I'm complete like I know there are people around me. I'm conscious, like I can't see and I can't hear anything, but I know that there are people here. Like I can feel them like tapping my shoulder. I can feel them like trying to like get my attention, and I don't know if they heard me, but I remember like trying to say I know you're there. I can't see, I can't hear, but like I'm awake. I know that much.
Mm-hmm.
And like by the time I came to, I was like, what happened? Like I guess you fainted. I'm like, that's super weird because I definitely was like conscious for all of it. And they're like, yeah. Like I tried saying something like, no, we didn't hear you say anything. And I'm like, well, like what did I look like? And it's like you just. Like my eyes were open and stuff like that, and like you just had like this look on your face as if you had just fallen asleep with your eyes open. And I was like, that like it was. Oh, I'm like, that's okay. That was spooky. And then they're like, hey, here's some cookies, here's some juice. Go back to class. And go, okay, cool.
Yay.
Neat. But yeah, I don't know why I just like really liked the idea of donating blood, and then I remember getting my blood donor card, in which my blood type is A positive, which is really funny because I like to always say that is the only A plus that I'll ever receive in my life.
You never got A's or A pluses?
Nope. I think the highest that my school grade ever went to was A. Actually, I don't think we ever did A pluses. It was just kind of redundant. We think we did it like just as like a little like A, like go you, but it's like we all know it's just an A.
Yeah.
But then I've told you this before, but I haven't said it on the podcast. Is my school, the way you graduate with honors in high school was there were two factors that you could do. You could either have at least a 3.0 GPA, or you get at least a 27 on your ACT, and my GPA when I graduated was 2.98.
Yeah, right.
Which was it was like just a little bit shy, but I still graduated with honors because I took the ACT twice. My first score was 25, and my second score was 27. So I just hit that mark, and I was jazzed because I graduated with honors. All of my friends were happy for me, but at the same time, they definitely wanted me to die because they had worked their butts off for 4.0 GPAs.
Yep.
And I was just like, hey, I'm graduating with honors, motherfuckers. Feels good.
I had a 2.89.
Yeah, not bad.
And
pretty good.
Yep. It was. I definitely failed a couple classes.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. I graduated with 2.98 in high school, and then I graduated with a 2.89 in college.
So, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad that my stuff was still pretty consistent across the board.
Yeah.
Like, all right, we're fine. We're good. I'm good.
Sorry, I'm currently looking at a figure.
No, that's fine. I'll going off of childhood dreams and stuff like that. This was something that I was just thinking about over the weekend, because I actually just activated a new credit card, and when I logged in, it has that if it doesn't recognize like your like what device you're logging on, it'll ask you like a security question.
Yeah.
And one of the security questions that I have set to it is, what was the first, like, what did you want to be when you grew up as a child? I'm actually surprised that I still remember this, but when I was a kid, like when I was like probably like 8, 9 years old. When I was a kid, I didn't want to be a firefighter. I didn't want to be an astronaut. Nothing cool. I wanted to be a judge, like a court judge. Yeah,
okay.
like a court
I mean, that's
judge.
pretty cool.
I mean, yeah, it's cool, but it's definitely not like you don't ask
Normal
a child.
kid thing.
Yeah, you don't ask a child what do you want to be, and they go, I want to be a court judge. Like, you know, that's not an answer.
No.
And so I was curious of what when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? Like
Me, I wanted to be a paleontologist.
Nice. Okay.
God, I can't even remember why. I don't remember if it was because of Jurassic Park, or I just was given a bunch of dinosaur books, but I just wanted to do dinosaur stuff.
Yeah, that makes.
That's
I mean,
all
that
I
makes
wanted to
sense.
do. Yeah,
That's pretty classic.
I thought that firefighters were stupid. And,
Yeah.
except I have a crazy amount of respect for firefighters.
I mean, obviously, yeah, firefighters are awesome.
Insane the amount of shit that they have to do.
Don't remember why I wanted to be a court judge. I think it was just because of the fact that I wanted to wear the robe. But then I definitely didn't want to do any of the work. Like, I think for some odd reason I had this like image in my head of like I would wear this cool ass robe, I'd get this super sweet hammer, and then all day I could just be in my office and I would just play video games.
Yeah, it's not how that works.
It's just like, yeah,
Not at all.
That was how being a court judge worked in my head.
Well,
And
you
that's just,
also
like,
have to
all I
realize
wanted
you
to
have
do.
to be a lawyer first.
Yeah.
There's a whole prerequisite to being
Did I ever
a
tell
judge.
you the story of when I was a mock lawyer for a mock trial in high school?
I was in mock trial in high school.
Yeah, I took a U.S. government class, and one of like the final projects that we had was we had a mock trial, and we would divide up in groups, and it was we'd have two groups, each being their own law agency, and then we would go to court for a case, and I was one of the prosecutors. I am not a good lawyer, is what I'm
Yeah.
I am a really bad lawyer. And I think it's because I'm not good at arguing. I'm not good at
Did you have to do
doing arguments.
so how did you break it down? Like, I'm assuming you just did did you do cross-examination?
Oh yeah. We went the
Okay,
whole
yeah.
9 yards.
I
Cross-examinations.
refused to do that. I was like, I'm bad at thinking on the fly.
Yeah, we did cross-examinations. We had to submit evidence. We had to submit evidence. We had to build cases on the evidence. We had open and closing statements. It was literally a whole thing. And yeah, one, I'm just bad at arguing things. And then two, there was a whole list of evidence that I forgot to submit. So we just couldn't use it for our case at all. And so like half our argument is literally just burnt to ashes and just gone. And one of my friends, he's actually a lawyer now. And he's always wanted to be a lawyer when he was young. I think it's because his dad is a lawyer as well.
Yeah. Good role model. Probably pretty easy to learn from.
Yeah, pretty easy to emulate. But I remember he got permission to sit in for the trial because again he was like, this is something that he's always wanted to do, so it was a great learning experience for him.
Yeah.
And I remember he came up to me after everything was all said and done, and he goes, "You never ever become a lawyer." And I go, was it that bad? He goes, it was atrocious. Everything that you did was so wrong that like our principal, Mr. Wade, also sat in. I guess my friend sat next to him, and he go, Mr. Wade had to hold me back because I was so close from just tackling you and taking over your job. Like, I was so angry at everything that you were doing, and I go,
Oh boy.
okay, I'm sorry, man. I'm so sorry.
I was in mock trial, and so essentially the way that it worked, it was the whole class for an entire year. Well, actually for half the year, technically. It was more like 3/4, and then the other part was speech and debate, which I was terrified of doing. But so essentially what we had to do was we spent most of the year working on one case, like learning the ins and outs of it. and we would eventually have to go in front of an actual several sets of actual judges throughout an entire day, and we would have a competition, and you would have to do it over and over again if you kept doing better, like if you ranked higher. So you could end up doing like 6 cases in one day. And we did 2. And so everybody, you're supposed to be able to like be on both sides essentially. And you are divided into teams, and there's like the witnesses, there's the opening and closing, the opening statement, the closing argument, and the actual like cross-examination and like initial I don't know if it's cross-examination for the defense or whatever. I mean, it's technically it is, I guess, whatever. Yeah. And then I think there's rebuttals or something. Yeah. It's been a long time, and I obviously have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about.
Right, yeah. It's fine.
But I knew that I did not want to do cross-examination because I was really bad at thinking on my feet, and I barely paid attention. So I was like, hey,
great
I'll be a
qualities
witness.
of a lawyer.
Yeah. I was like, I'll be a witness. I'm really good at memorization. And I was like, I could be an actor. Like, I could at least do that. Yeah. I was okay. I didn't do drama, and I didn't like go in any plays, but I went to an art school, so I had to. Like, I had to be in a play every single year from 2nd to 5th grade. So, and I never considered myself very good, but I was really good at memorizing my lines. Mostly because I had like 2. And so I was on the witness stand in a suit that was way too big for me because it was my dad's. And my dad is I'm 5'8" and a half and
taller than me.
130. And at the time I was
you're lighter
like
than me.
I was probably 5'5", maybe 5'6", and like a $115. Maybe. I was maybe like 110. I was tiny. And my dad was about the same height and probably 80 pounds heavier than me. And I was in a suit that I did not fit.
Right.
Like the jacket was just big. Like the sleeves were the right size. It just looked big. Anyway, so I'm on the witness stand, and I like practiced every day, just remembering every single line that I'm like about my backstory and what I know. And I fucked up. And I said something that there's no way that I could have possibly known, and it threw the other lawyer off. Uh-oh. And I lied. Uh-oh. I just completely came up with something, and nobody called me on it, so they lost. I said something that wasn't in the documents anywhere, and the dude was like, what? And I looked at the back because I realized it, and my eyes went wide, and I'm like, uh-oh. Oh, no, I might have just cost us the case, because I just became uncredible. Like, everything that I could have just said, or that I said, could have been stricken from the record. Mm-hmm. And I looked at my teacher, because he was in the back, and he was usually in, like, the higher graded ones, because we weren't, like, the best team. We were maybe, like, 3rd or 4th.
Yeah.
And he was there, and he's just like, he's nodding his head. He's like, yeah. I'm like, wait, this is not good. But the dude, he had no idea what the hell to do. So I got down from the witness stand, and later the judge was like, I don't know how you did that, but you completely lied to him, and you got away with it. And I didn't say anything. You did a really good job. Because
nice.
I played it off, and I kept working it. And I kind of never, like, I worked it in that moment, and then I never referenced it again. I'm just like, nope, we're bypassing that. It's awesome. Like, you did a really good job of memorizing everything. So for the next case, I had to do the opening statement, and I wrote it the night before. And I didn't have it memorized, so I used cue cards, and I was addressing a much bigger courtroom with an actual, like, like it's not the jury. Again, glad I didn't become a lawyer, because the gallery. I had to actually address a gallery and the judge and everybody with something I'm supposed to have memorized, and the whole time I'm shaking. I'm reading off of cue cards that are like right in front of my face, and I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. And the only thing the judge had to say to me was, just memorize what you have to do, son. Just do that.
Aw.
I was like, yeah. I was so into the idea of just doing the witness part. I was like, I'll be fine. We're probably gonna lose. I won't do 2 in one day. We didn't lose, and I did 2 in one day, and yeah, that was frustrating. Yeah, mock trial was fun. And then there was speech and debate, and I did 2 debates, and I let my opponent win both.
Nice.
I was like, I don't remember what the topics were. I remember one of them was something I was staunchly against, and I had to play the for side of it.
I hate doing stuff like that.
And I was like, that sucks, because I don't have any positive things to say about this, and if I do, I feel like I'm punching myself in the face.
Yeah, those are always so difficult, because I took a speech and debate class in college, and it was like, it's so brutal to, like, be on a topic of, like, that you just, like, personally you don't have any sort of, like, positive things for it. It's just like, I got nothing, man.
I think that's almost worse than not having any information on the subject.
Yeah.
Like, because when you are so for one thing, you aren't necessarily able to see it from an objective standpoint. And, like, and especially if you can't, you only know information about one side. So, like, you have to kind of reverse engineer everything, but it might not be accurate in what you're talking about, because you're like, the information I have comes from one side. So what's the opposite of that? You know? And that's not exactly how that works.
Yeah.
You can't just take the inverse of information you have. You can't just be like, that's not how that is.
Yeah. Speaking of mock trials and crime and debating and stuff like that.
That's basically all my job is. It's pretty fun.
Crime.
Pretty fun.
But so I was it last summer? Yes, it was last summer. I was hanging out with some friends, and we decided to go get some ice cream for lunch. And there's this wonderful place in Columbus, Ohio, called Jenny's Ice Cream, and it's delicious. Like, that's all I can say. It is fucking delicious. But so the parlor that we went to had tasting spoons, so you can try all the different ice creams. And the tasting spoons weren't just like cheap plastic; they were like actual metal spoons.
Yeah, nice metal spoons.
They were like really nice metal spoons. And I remember I was trying some of the flavors, and I couldn't find like the little like bucket or like cup to like return the spoon in.
Oh no!
So I'm just like, well, I'll just hold on to it. I'll just put it in my pocket for now, and when I find I'll put it in.
You told me about this.
Yeah, but so we get our ice cream, we leave, we're walking away, and I feel something in my pocket, and I pull it back into my pocket, and I go, oh, whoops! I actually took the tasting spoon, and 2 of my friends were like, you're gonna go back and you're gonna go return that spoon right now. And I'm just like, no, we're almost to the car. Like, I don't want to have to go back and be like, hey guys, sorry, I took your spoon, here you go. Like, it was just an honest mistake, and it's whatever. It's a spoon. Like, who the fuck cares?
It's not that big of a deal.
It's not that big of a deal.
And they have like 1,000 of them in the bag.
Yeah, they have like 1,000. They probably have like 1,000 of them. It probably costs them like, I would say 10-20 cents to make, most likely. Like, it's probably not like, I mean, that like
silverware is actually kind of expensive.
I mean, from
working in bulk buying isn't necessarily cheaper. Okay. Well, it is technically, But so I found out that the way that we buy our olives for my store, we buy them by the truckload, and we are given them over the course of the year.
Oh, okay.
And we also sell them to our other stores. So they buy them from us, but then they get them shipped to them from the distributor.
Weird.
Or maybe it's not a truckload, or it's just a year's worth. I can't remember. Yeah, an entire truckload. So if an entire truck was completely filled with olives, that is what we buy for the entire year.
It's a really weird way to do
It is $32,000.
It's a lot of olives.
That is a lot of olives.
It's a lot of money.
It's a really-
It's a lot of money for a lot of olives.
It is the cheapest way that they can that we can get them, and we get them over the course of the year. So it's not like we will definitely get more fresher olives. It's just we don't buy them all at once, but we do pay for them all at once. Yeah. So essentially that's like how a lot of places do buy things in bulk. Like, yeah, it's cheap, but like you're still buying those are probably like 50 cents a pop for them.
Yeah. Well, either way, it's like
Anyway.
Either way, the cost for it is not going to be astronomical. It's not going to
No.
hurt them in a crazy. It's not going to hurt the business in a crazy amount just because I stole a spoon. So the entire time they're hounding me about this. They're giving me a hard time, and it's one part. They're one part joking, then another part of like, you're literally agreeing to steal a spoon, you fucking dirty thief. How dare you?
It's not that bad.
Yeah, but like the entire time I'm just like, all right, whatever. They're gonna give me a hard time. I'm just gonna ignore it. Whatever. I don't give a fuck anymore. It's one part that, and another part of like, all right, fine. You want to paint me as the villain? I'm gonna lean into it. I am going to go 100% into it. So I'm goading them like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I am stealing this spoon, and you know what? I fucking like it.
I like
this is
it.
the turn. This is where I return to a
worth
life
it.
of crime. It's a slippery slope, and I'm going down like a fucking slide. But so later that evening, at some point I lose the spoon. Like I put it down and I went to go pick it up, and it's like, I don't know where it is. And I'm like, oh well, I guess I misplaced it. Secretly, I know for a fact one of my friends took it because he's planning on he's planning on returning it himself, just so that way he could clear his conscience. But so later that evening, we decided to go get ice cream again at Jenny's.
From the same place.
From the same place, literally the exact same location. And at this point, I'm just like, all right, well, I obviously don't have my spoon anymore. That kind of sucks. But I'm pretty sure someone took it, which is even worse. So now I'm definitely gonna steal a spoon this time.
I'm gonna intentionally commit a
I am
crime.
intentionally stealing a spoon this time. And one of my friends, Volb, he sees the glint in my eye and he goes, I know what you're doing, and I'm going to be the friend that encourages this act. I'm going to let this happen, and I'm okay with this one. I get like, yeah, we know each other, we get this.
Yep.
But so like we're in the store, we're like at this point it's a really long line and we're just waiting in line. And the two friends that are giving me a hard time, they notice, like, I guess the store has like a small little gift section so you can buy extra stuff, and one of them is a bag of tasting spoons for $20. It's 10 metal spoons for $20, which means that
expensive.
each spoon is $2.
That's definitely not worth it.
And they're like, yeah, you can buy this. I'm like, I am not paying that much money for that many spoons, or that few spoons. Like, fuck that nonsense. But so like they're like we're joking around, whatever, blah 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 blah. And so then eventually it comes to our turn to kind of choose what ice cream we want. I take one of the tasting spoons, secretly, subtly put it into my pocket. Nobody notices, and I've got another spoon in my mouth. And I'm just contemplating what ice cream I want to get, and one of my friends taps me on the shoulder and he goes, "Hey, Maxwell, did you see that? You see that bucket right there?" And I go, "Yeah, what about it?" He goes, "That's where you put the spoons." I go, "You right, man, you right." I drop the spoon in the bucket. I'm like, good looking out, buddy. I'm like, I got you. Don't want you to, resort to his life of crime and go, this guy right here put me on the track of good and being, good virtues. But secretly, I've already got a spoon.
You already took one.
I've already took one. And then my friends they get all their ice cream, they go outside, and I'm the last one. And secretly, again, I take another spoon and I put it in my pocket. So now I have 2 spoons.
Oh my god.
I'm taking 2 of them now. But so we get our ice cream, we leave, we go home, we go back, and we're all just hanging out. And I take one of the spoons out of my pocket, and I just put it in my mouth like a toothpick, basically. And it's just in my mouth. We're doing stuff, we're hanging out, and one of my friends goes, "What's that in your mouth?" And I go, "Oh, this." And he goes, "Where'd you get that from?" And I go, "Oh, yeah, I just, I lost it earlier this afternoon. I found it again. Like, it's all good." And he goes, that's not right. That's impossible." And I go, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "That's literally impossible. There's no way you can have that spoon again." And I go, What are you talking about? I don't, why would that be?" He goes, we literally stole your spoon so that way we could take it back. There's no way that is the same spoon from earlier this afternoon. And Vol and I, we look at each other and go, "But wait a minute, if this isn't the spoon that I had earlier, then," and I'm like, "Vol, if this isn't the spoon," and then I go into my pocket, I take another one, then what's the second spoon? They're like, "Oh my fucking god, oh no, we made the problem worse. Oh god." And one of our other friends, Jake, he goes, "Well, wait, hold on for a second. I watched you put a spoon back into the bucket. Like, I watched you return the spoon." And go, "Yeah, I'd already stolen the first spoon already. You just prevented me from stealing 3 spoons." and they're just like, "We fucked up, man. We fucked up so royally in this. Like, yeah, you made it worse because you took my spoon.
You shouldn't have tried to do that.
If you just let me keep the first one, we wouldn't be here now." But so fast forward a little bit later, like maybe like 2-3 months later, occasionally it's brought up. We joke around about it. It's like, haha, that was a funny story, haha. But another part of it is that, like, like every once in a while you bring up stories and you laugh about it, you joke around with it.
Uh-huh.
Do your friends ever be like, "Hey, haha, remember this funny? Ah, that's funny. By the way, that was still not cool, and you're a piece of shit for doing that." Do your friends do that?
Not really.
Cause one of my friends does that occasionally, and I don't appreciate it a whole lot.
What did I do?
But like occasionally he would do it, and it's just like, again, it was like, it's whatever. Like, it's like haha funny. We address it. He says it. We move on. End of story. Not a big deal. But again, fast forward 2 or 3 months from when the original spoon theft happened. I told my mom this story because it was really funny, because one of the friends that was hounding me about it, he's like, "What would your mom think?" You go, "That's a good question. What would my mom think about all this?" So I told her this story, and my mom's like, "My only regret is that you didn't steal more of them." Like, she
so that we could have had more tasting
exactly.
spoons.
It's just like, wait, so you're not like angry that I stole it? No, in fact, I would have wanted you to steal more of the spoons so that way we'd have more of them, honestly. And I go, you need to inform so and so about this, because this is news to me. And literally later that afternoon, my friend ran into my mom, and my mom's like, "Maxwell told me about the spoon story," and he goes, "Yeah, and I bet you're really disappointed in him." And my mom goes, "I couldn't be more proud."
I couldn't be more proud.
And I'm just like, this is where I learned it from. This is where my life of crime originated from. The apple doesn't far from the tree. And it was the whole fucking thing. But now, fast forward to a couple weeks ago. And this is going to be really awkward to tell, because I'm pretty sure he's going to watch this podcast, which is going to be really awkward. But so, again, like I said, when you bring up past stories and stuff like that, you don't like be like, "Hey, remember this thing that you did that you're obviously a piece of shit for?"
Yeah.
So this friend, he's been doing it again as of late. And again, I don't have a problem with people bringing it up and being like, "Hey, you remember this time? Like, haha, that's really funny." What I have a problem with is constantly being reminded that apparently I am a terrible person and that I am also the scum of the earth. That is what I don't appreciate. And it was getting to the point that, like, literally any sort of reference to, like, Jenny's, spoons, ice cream in general, like this, like, my friend would just do this constantly, and I'm just like, okay, it was funny at first. Now I'm like actually being personally attacked, and I'm very much being annoyed by it.
This
Like
is not.
now
This is not as fun as it was
this
before.
This is no longer being friendly. This is like actually like, seriously, really now. But so, and again, like, I don't have a problem with being reminded of the things. I just don't like being chastised for the same mistake that I made 6 months ago. Like, all right, let's pump the brakes here for a second. But we talked it over. We did a whole thing. Like, we had a whole like heart-to-heart thing about it. But it just kind of, I don't know. It was just really annoying for me to one, to have this conversation, and then two, to have to tell him, be like, listen, I get that you want me to be a better person and that you're my friend and you care about my well-being, but I am a 25-year-old adult. Like, you are not my mother, you are not my babysitter, and I am not your child. I can make these mistakes. I can make these choices for myself. Also, I told him, it was like, also, really, you should just be glad that I'm not stealing even worse things. Though I did tell him that, because he's getting married, is it this summer? Either this summer or next summer. I did tell him that I'm 100% going to steal something from his wedding, though.
You are 100% doing what?
I'm definitely going to steal something at his wedding.
That's messed
That's
up.
100%
cool.
going to happen. Well, I mean, I was like, he was just like, I feel bad for trying to bring it up all the time. I go, no, it's fine, it's whatever. But I just want to let you know, I will steal something from your wedding, or at the very least, I'm gonna damn near try. But
fair enough.
Yeah, it's still like fair enough.
You
like,
have forewarning.
It's like at least I warned you. I could have just taken something.
Could have been worse.
I was talking to some of my friends about it too, having this conversation, and they're like, you should see, like, it'd be so funny if you just stole spoons just from their weddings, from their like reception. You just like lay them all out, and I'm like, that'd be great, but then I would have to carry a bunch of spoons around all night, and I don't want to have to do that.
All right, there we go. I added some fun. Nope, wait. Added some GIFs. Sorry. I am paying attention, I swear to God. I just had a couple of GIFs that I haven't got the chance to use. That's obnoxious. I'll only keep the one.
That's obnoxious.
One of them is fine. The other is not as okay. So, let's see. So, there's a topic I've wanted to talk to you about for a while. Anyway, is fighting games.
Yeah.
And that's something that you generally don't do.
Yeah.
Right? But you are likely going to do Persona 4 Arena, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm hoping that gets you interested enough in a kind of fighting games, because you are going to need to learn how to do it, because that game is not necessarily easy in the story mode. Like, there are some kind of bullshit fights.
Yeah.
And that game is kind of unique in itself, because it doesn't play like, at least to me, like a normal fighting game does. So that game is made by Arxis, and Arc System Works. They do a lot of 2D anime fighters, for the umbrella term, like BlazBlue, if you've ever heard of that. Great game. They do Persona. They've done that. I mean, the list literally goes on. Oh, Guilty Gear. That's the other really big one. And the most recent thing that they've really done is, I think, BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, which has BlazBlue characters, Persona 4 characters, Under Night in Birth. That's one of their other series, and Ruby. So I think you've talked about Ruby before, in that you pretty enjoy it, right?
Yeah, love Ruby. Yeah.
So you should give that game a look-see once you do Persona 4 Arena, because I think it would be like a nice transition, because you'll be able to identify some characters being that it's kind of a crossover of a bunch of stuff, and you'll at least have Ruby and Persona to do.
Yeah, I think, if I remember correctly, I think Blaze Blue also has some Ruby characters as like as actual playable characters. I think.
In the cross tag battle, not in normal Blaze Blue.
Oh, okay.
Those are all unique into its own. Okay, so Blaze Blue's story makes Kingdom Hearts look like it makes sense.
Oh God!
Seriously.
Oh boy.
and I really like it, but it's mostly time travel. It's and I don't even understand how it works. The two main characters. So essentially, the two main characters. Their names are Ragna and Jin. And they're brothers. Okay. And in one timeline that is also the same timeline that they're in, Ragna becomes the ultimate evil, like, destroyer of the world. And his brother becomes, like, one of the saviors of the world, one of the 6 saviors of the world. And then they fall into something, and they come out, but that has already happened, and those two beings exist at the same time that they do, but they don't know it, that they're them, and nobody references the fact that they are those people. I'm describing it horribly, but yeah. Okay. And the whole thing is that they're leading closer and closer to that event happening again, but these characters already exist. So either they would both become that again, even though they are already there. Anyway, you should give it a look-see.
Okay.
If you decide that you like cross-tag battle. I'm not a huge fan of it because it's like... Fighting games for me are a really kind of back and forth thing. And cross-tag battle is basically... The first person who gets a hit is basically the winner. Things do a lot of damage. I think Ruby is the best character in the game. Like, not as a personal thing. I believe that she is classified as the best character in the game because she just does an insane amount of damage. But, so you bought Ultra Street Fighter 4, right?
Yes.
You still have it on Steam, right?
Yeah.
Did you refund it? Okay.
No, I definitely didn't refund it. I just had to. Like, I remember buying it, but I'm just checking to see if I got it. That
game is really great, and it was one of the things that introduced me into fighting, like, that got me really into fighting games.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I played on a Street Fighter 2 cabinet, and I hated it. And I never wanted to play Street Fighter ever again, because I was like, this doesn't make sense. I don't understand what's happening. And then my friends got me into Street Fighter 3, which is my favorite fighting game of all time. If you ever get the chance to get it, buy it.
Okay.
It's in a collection on the PS4, and it's also on PS3. The better one's on PS3, but anyway. Right. And you should watch that video by Cosmonaut, because it's really good. And one of the things is, even if you don't like playing fighting games, you should check out EVO, which is an event that happens in the summer. I don't know if it's in June or July.
I've heard of that.
It is the world biggest fighting game tournament. Yeah. And even if you don't know anything about fighting games, it is one of the hypest things of all time, because it's not like watching the Super Bowl where they're only playing football. Granted, everything is a fighting game, but there's dozens and dozens of different fighting games. So, like, even if one thing doesn't really catch your eye, like, you don't really like the style of it, or you're just not understanding the mechanics of the game, you can be like, oh, I'll just wait until Smash Bros. Is playing, or I'll wait until Street Fighter's playing, or something like that.
I will say that I used to play a lot of fighting games when I was younger. Like, I used to play some of the biggest fighting games I ever played was obviously Smash. Mm-hmm. I played a lot of Dragon Ball Z Budokai.
Okay.
I played a lot of Budokai 1, 2, and 3. I played Mortal Kombat, Deadly Alliance. I played, and then
You played a lot of 3D ones.
Yeah, I did a lot of. I played a lot of 3D. Back when I was younger, 2D graphics really didn't interest me. Like,
Oh, yeah. No,
like,
same.
As far as 2D graphics
I had no
goes,
appreciation
like,
for it.
If I was going to play a 2D graphic game, it was going to be on just like handheld, like Game Boy, basically.
Mhm.
That was like the only time I would like that was like really interested. And even then, it was like a really hard sell for me to play a game like that. Like I think
Sonic Advance was like the one for me.
Man, I remember Sonic Advance.
Sonic Advance was great.
Sonic Advance is a good game. Hard though, or at least maybe I was just bad.
Number one is kind of tough. Number two is really good, and number three is like easy because you have the partner system.
I don't think I ever played 2 or 3. I think I only played 1. I think.
I only played 2. I've played all of them on emulator, but I only actually owned 2.
Yeah, I think I only played 1. But then like I would play Pokemon. Like that's probably the extent of 2D graphic games I would play.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as fighting goes, like I did a lot of 3D fighters.
Which is rough.
Yeah,
nowadays. Looking back at that, you're like, thinking about it as a kid, you're like, this looks so much better than 2D, and now you are...
Bloody Roar is like a big fighting game that I loved playing as a kid.
I don't know that
playing
one.
Bloody Roar. Oh, it's so good.
Let me check it out.
It's a fighting game. It's a series. It's a fighting game series where all the fighters... It's like Street Fighter mixed with Animorphs. If I had to...
It's
really
a Tekken clone.
Yeah. It's basically Tekken.
Or at least it looks like a Tekken clone.
They're all Animorphs, and they can all turn into animals, and it's fucking awesome. It's so fucking cool. I loved it.
Oh no! Oh, I just saw this terrible image.
Was it like a Rule 34
boy.
image?
No.
I'm afraid.
Oh boy. I'll send it to you on Discord. Oh, it's so sad.
I don't think I want to see this. I don't think I want to see this at all. Oh, that's not great.
That's not great.
Oh, that's not great. For those of you listening and watching this in the video, I'm not putting this on the video, but just imagine one of the saddest things to ever happen in Full Metal Alchemist, and I'm pretty sure you'll know what I'm talking about. It's fine. It's not fine, but it's fine.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, I just looked up Bloody Roar on Google, and that was one of the first things to pop up.
Oh, that's rough. That's super rough. Oh, God, ouch. But yeah, so Bloody Roar was a huge fighting game that I loved playing as a kid. And then I think the last fighting game that I ever played, besides Mortal Kombat, was Dead or Alive 4 on the 360.
Oh yeah, that one's good.
Yeah. I think that was the last fighting game I ever played. In which I think I would have played more fighting games if I wasn't such a horny teenager.
Yeah.
Especially because I played Dead or Alive. It was just like all I cared about was anime and titties. So it was like I went that route instead of more into fighting games, and I just never came back around. And then I just got swept up in a bunch of other games. But yeah, I do like fighting games. I think, again, personally, like fighting games for me is not. They just don't grab me because I think it's because I hate repeating stuff. Like I don't like doing stuff over and over and over again.
Yeah.
When there's just no point to it. So like fighting games that have like I love doing the story mode. I love doing the campaign mode for fighting games. But other than that, like I don't really care to recreationally play fighting games. I think the reason I like Smash Bros so much, I think it might just be because of it's simple enough that I can just like I can turn my brain off and be like, all right, we're like having friends getting together. It's fun. It's cartoony. Like it takes me out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a lot of other fighting games are not necessarily serious, but they like, I guess the whole aesthetic of them is a more serious like tone to it. But
I feel like it's what you put into it. Like
Yeah.
there is a certain level of like if you want to enjoy the game to a certain degree, you are going to have to put more time in.
yeah,
But I feel like as well it's so that was one of the things that about fighting games for me that was really hard. It was one finding a game that I would be able to just sit down and practice and not want to die.
yeah.
Because
that,
I'm like,
I think
because
that's a big thing for me too. Of like fighting games, to me, it's like in order to really, at least person for me, in order to really enjoy them, you also have to be really good at them. But in order to be good at them, you kind of have to.
I'm not
you
good
have
at
to
Mortal
work with
Kombat,
them.
but I have a ton of fun playing that game. I'm also not really great at Smash, and I have fun playing Smash. I can get really angry though.
Yeah.
It's really finding that one game kind of helps. And that's kind of why I recommended Ultra Street Fighter 4, 1, because it was super cheap, and 2, it's really accessible.
Okay.
It's easy to learn, hard to master. Whereas a lot of games have a lot of fighting games have barriers to entry because there's a lot of different mechanics, especially the further on in history that you go, or the closer you get to current games. There's more and more added every game to make games more fresher and for reasons for them to come back and play something else. So like Ultra Street Fighter 4 does have a ton of mechanics, but none of them are necessarily really hard to pull off, whereas BlazBlue and I think Persona 4 are pretty they're pretty mechanic heavy in that like there's a lot of systems that you have to learn how to do, advanced guarding and a bunch of like not every character has a super that makes sense or inputs, and they're not all the same, whereas in Street Fighter most characters have inputs that are extremely similar and they're pretty easy to a certain degree. Some of them are easy, like it. One of the other reasons that I recommended Ultra Street Fighter 4 is because the roster is huge, so you can just mess around with anybody, and then hopefully you'll be able to find somebody. Whereas in a roster that's really small, you have less options, and if you don't like any of them, then it's like, well, why even play?
Yeah. Oh, another fighting game that I really liked was Soul Calibur. That was also another big fighting game that I played.
Soul Calibur 6 is really good. If you ever check it out, Chaotic
I actually
really likes it.
I wouldn't mind picking up Soul Calibur again. I think my favorite Soul Calibur that I've ever played was probably 3. I think.
My favorite is 3.
Yeah. That's the one that they introduced Zaslimo, right?
Who?
The guy with the scythe, the black man.
I'm not sure.
I think it was.
The reason I liked it because it has Tira, the girl with the hula hoop.
Yeah. So yeah,
she's pretty.
Yeah, 3. It's 3.
I also really liked 4, which is one that not a lot of people liked because it had Darth Vader.
4 was PS3 and Xbox 360, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because it was 360 with Yoda and then Darth Vader with PS3.
Well, they both have them. They have them both on both versions. It was just Yoda is the Xbox cover and Darth Vader is the PS3 cover.
Okay, yeah.
And then they also had the Secret Apprentice.
Yeah, I really liked 3 because of it had you could make your own character, and then it had like a whole like backstory, like RTS slash like RPG game to it, which I thought was so much fun.
I'm not sure that's around anymore.
I wish
but
it was.
Not Street Fighter. Soul Calibur 6 has a really in-depth, really cool custom character thing. Like people, look up some of them.
I've seen some of the monstrosities and like some of the cool
Donkey
stuff
Kong, Yoshi,
but
Pac-Man.
I remember my friends and I, we used to get together for 3. We'd all 3 of us would have our own characters, and then one of us would basically like we'd all direct our own characters to like places on the map, and then we would fight the battles and stuff like that.
Nice.
Oh, it was so much fun. It was like it was a really really fun like co-op campaign type of thing that we did.
I used to do tournaments of Budokai Tenkaichi 2. because I loved the Budokai Tenkaichi games. I never played the original Budokai games.
The original
Tenkaichis are really
Budokai
fun.
Games are great. I actually really want to pick up. I want to play the Tenkaichi games.
Tenkaichis are great. 1 through 3, don't play any further than that because Ultimate Tenkaichi sucks ass.
Oh, okay, cool. Noted.
Yeah, Ultimate Tenkaichi is really bad. A lot of the fighting, like the Dragon Ball fighting games or just Dragon Ball games that came out after Tenkaichi 3 were pretty bad. Battle of Z was really fun if you had friends to play it with. A lot of people give it a lot of shit because it was like, this game is terrible. Yeah, it's bad because it's designed to play with your friends, like 4 or 6 of your friends, or whatever. And I played it with a buddy of mine. It was a great time. And then there's Xenoverse. Those are really fun when you have friends. The stories are okay, but then there's Dragon Ball Fighters, and that's probably the single best Dragon Ball game of all time.
Oh, is that the same as Fighter Z?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's technically Fighters.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of people call it Fighter Z. I used to do it too. And that might be why you call it that. I'm not sure.
I just know
because I've mentioned it before.
I mean, I just know that the title was literally Dragon Ball Fighter, and then it's the Z.
And then the big Z. Yeah, it's
the big
Fighters.
Z. So it's like, it just makes sense to just call it Fighter Z.
Yep. It's a great game. It's actually really fun.
You don't call it Dragon Ball. You don't call it Dragon Balls. You call it Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. Well, the difference between Dragon Ball Z and Fighters is that there's no space.
Is there space in Dragon Ball Z?
There is it's Dragon Ball Z, all spaced out. But Dragon Ball Fighters is Dragon Ball Fighter with a big Z at the end. No space. Yeah. That is the distinction. That's why I was like, that's how they.
I think it's probably just the big Z at the end. It's like you just want to say it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm kind of lucky that in my area we have a bunch of really cool arcades. I don't frequent them enough because it's their money.
We used to have a big arcade where I live, but because my town's so small that like things like that just kind of they pop up, they're around for a little bit, and then they just kind of fizzle out.
I need to give it to David. It's rent.
Really, really sad.
We have like 2 or 3. I know we have 2. We might have 3 barcades here, and the saddest part is like arcades are really great, but they die out because unless people go every single day, all day, like it's really because of like tickets.
Yeah.
The reason that they're huge in Japan and in California is because they aren't like typically ticket games. They're dedicated. A lot of them are fighting games because that's, kind of what arcade games are about, or like old school Pac-Man and Mario and competitive racing game, or like 4-player competitive racing games. Those are really great, and they don't take tickets.
Yeah, like actual cabinet arcade
games.
Like
yeah.
You ever play Time Crisis?
Oh, dude, I love Time Crisis.
Dude, Time Crisis is so good. Such a good game, yo.
I found out they had them on all of the PlayStation systems.
Yeah.
On PlayStation 1, how the hell does that work?
Yeah, but like the thing,
but there was actually
Time Crisis though, it's that like because I remember seeing them on. I remember being able to buy them digitally and play them on PlayStation. But I was like, why would I want to do that? Because it's so much more fun on the arcade.
You have the gun and then the pedal.
To pop out a cover. Cool. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, Time Crisis 4 was the one I played the most. I think almost beat it.
The one I played.
It took me like an hour and a half.
3 was the one that I played the most, for sure.
Yeah, that was the one that was at one of my nickel arcades.
There was a game similar to Time Crisis that I remember playing. I think it was called like House of the Dead or something like that.
Yeah. House of the Dead's really popular.
Yeah, I remember that was in a couple of movie theaters.
But it's popular.
Yeah, it's a really fun game. Like
one of my favorite ones of like the on-rail shooters is Terminator Salvation. Mm-hmm. Like for some reason it's still around. and it's based on a really shitty Terminator movie that I really like. Yeah, it's super fun. There's a Halo one that was at one of the arcades here. It's
cool.
not great. Like, it's fun, but it's not great.
My one of my other uncles, he's an orthopedic surgeon. And occasionally he goes out of town, and he has a cat that I go cat sit for him.
Yeah.
And in his basement, actually, he's been collecting, you know, the company One Up Arcade?
Yeah.
So he's been buying cabinets from them.
Nice.
And
yeah, they're like $300 a piece.
Yeah, in his basement, he's literally just been like stationing them side by side, to basically have his own little mini arcade down in his basement.
What I'm planning on doing.
It's really fucking cool. Like, he's got this super dope ass Lord of the Rings pinball machine.
Okay.
It's got this beautiful beautiful glass limited edition front paneling, and all the in the machine itself. It's got this giant, I think it's a Balrog. I've actually never seen Lord of the Rings, but it's like this giant.
Shin?
I've never watched Lord of the Rings ever, actually.
You gotta do that.
But it's got like his Balrog figure that I guess will move in and out to open a passage, and then
that makes sense.
He even went the extra mile for it of he had a bunch of really small Lord of the Rings figurines, and he actually went and hot glued them into
oh, nice.
empty spaces that he could fit them on. It was really, really cool. But then he's got the arcade machines that he's got he's got 2 TMNT games,
nice.
Asteroids, some golf, some pro golf game, Galaga, Pac-Man, Rampage, and
I love Rampage.
I want to say it's not Twin Dragons, but it's I think it's Streets of Rage, I think, or something
Double
like that.
Dragon?
Double Dragon, that's it. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's got a bunch of those. He's got a bunch of cabinets for those now, which is it looks awesome. It looks really cool. I actually.
Oh wait, there's Final Fight. I'm literally on their website right now.
Maybe that's it. Final Fight. I can't remember. I know it's just some it's basically just a
brawler.
Yeah, a brawler game. The last time I went to his house, to Katza, I definitely I booted up all the arcades and I turned them all on because I'm this is so cool. It's so awesome. He was actually, I remember him telling me that the first machine that he bought was a Pac-Man machine. Oh yeah, duh. He told me that, I guess when he was younger, when we had our arcade in our hometown, he every day after school he would go to the arcade, and every day there was always just this strange man at the Pac-Man machine, and I guess my uncle, from watching this dude play, he memorized the pattern that you make to clear a level of Pac-Man. There's an actual path you can take that will avoid all the ghosts, and you can get all the pellets and even the fruits and stuff like that.
Damn.
And he memorized it by heart, and then in order to beat the game, you just run that pattern over and over and over, faster and faster and faster.
That's cool.
He showed it to me. I was like, that's just cool. That's just straight up cool. Honestly, right. It was just really impressive. But yeah, there are no. I guess there's one arcade that I can think of in my town. It's not a barcade, I know that, but it doubles as an arcade and a trading card shop.
Oh, nice. Yeah, ours don't.
Yeah, and it's nice. I've only been there a handful of times, and I think I would go there more if it didn't always smell like tobacco and smoke.
What? Are you allowed to smoke in there?
No, I think a lot of the people who work there and who go there just smoke, so it's just residual.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, and so I've gone there and I'm just this is gross.
Yeah.
This is just straight up gross, and I hate this. I remember there used to be. Oh, we also have a Chuck E. Cheese if you want to count that as an arcade.
No.
But that's Chuck E. Cheese. So, But I remember when I was younger, there was, oh god, I'm trying to remember what it was called. I want to say that it was called like Laser Zone or something like that. It was basically an arcade and also doubled as a laser tag place.
Yeah.
And it was by far one of the coolest places that I'd ever gone to in my life. As a kid, I like always wanted to have like a birthday party there. If it was still in business, I probably would still like legitimately. I would probably frequent that place like every day if it was still in business. It's such a cool place. Like it had like the whole like neon black light aesthetic. And like all the cabinets had like fluorescent decals on it, so they all lit up. It had a bunch of arcade games there. It had laser tag. It was just a really, really fun place, and it was like your classic arcade. And like, they did like a little bit of ticket stuff, but a lot of them was just like shooters, competitive racing, a lot of fighting games. But it was so depressing. Because obviously they went out of business, but like they didn't just like shut down immediately. It just sort of it just fizzled out because not enough people kept going. And it got to the point where like over time you could see just different sections of the business just sort of slowly closing off and like slowly dying off until like eventually.
That makes me sad.
It was it was so depressing. Like I remember going there in like sometime I think my sophomore year of high school. I want to say either sophomore year, maybe even middle school of school. But I remember going there one day, and it was like literally the entire space was essentially closed down, save for like a small little like the front entrance alcove was all that was like available to you, and it just had like. I don't even know. It had like a couple like, it had like a claw machine game and like some like random like gotcha machines that you get like prizes from, and like that was it. And I was like, this is sad. Like this is just it was heartbreaking to see, because it was a really really fucking cool place, but there are. I wish there were more arcades. Where I live, honestly, because
if you ever come down towards this side, you should definitely we should definitely go to one of the barcades because they're really cool.
Yeah, I think I've only been to a barcade once, and I think it was in Cincinnati.
Oh yeah.
And it was cool. It had a bunch of really old school games, and then it had pinball too. Which I thought was really cool. And then like on where the bar, so like, it had the bar obviously, and then right next to the bar was another bar, but it was literally just a wall of old CRT TVs. And connected to them were a bunch of like classic and SNES, NES, like old school consoles that you could like rent out games and you could play them on. It was really really fun. My sister took me. I think it was for my birthday. I think. And I remember we played Jeopardy.
Nice.
And like one of my favorite things was like we're my sister and I were playing Jeopardy, and we are fucking idiots. Like we got our asses handed to us by the computer.
You realize you don't know jack.
Yeah, we realized that we don't know fucking anything. And I remember, I think one of the NPCs' names was like Debbie. And like literally there was one point where Nicole and I, my sister, we're like down, I want to say like 1,000 points. Like we're like almost in the hole essentially because we got somebody wrong. And motherfucking Debbie fucking takes the one category that like Nicole and I actually knew. Debbie just kept taking them, and we're like, God damn it, Debbie!
No!
Fuck's sake! And the entire time, like, what made it even better was like, I was getting angry about it, and like so was she. But like because we kept making such a big scene, people behind us would start looking at what we're doing, and even they were just like, fucking cunt Debbie.
Goddamn Debbie.
Stepping in on our fucking shit.
How rude.
It was super, super funny.
I'm looking at some of these at these 1UP arcades. I definitely need to get some of these when I have a house.
Yeah, they're really really cool. And he's got he even like put like black black lights above them all just to like give that
nice.
old school effect. It's so nice. I saw it and I was like, this is so cool. I love it.
Pretty dope looking. Well, one of the things that I want to do, I've been looking at it on YouTube, is creating my own custom one, and then creating a custom cabinet and then filling it with consoles, so that I could do various different systems.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And just be able to switch the HDMI.
Yeah.
So it's like, I want to play fighting games on my PS4, so I'd boot up a PS4, and then have a couple fight sticks essentially plugged into.
Yeah.
It would have to be way.
That's yeah.
There's
a lot of stuff that would go into it, but that'd be super awesome.
Because I really want to get Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in a cabinet, but that's very expensive.
Yeah. Because
Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is incredibly popular. It also came out in 2000. So it's over 20 years old. Well, its birthday was the 24th, so it's almost exactly 20 years old now. And it's one of the most popular fighting games of all time. So trying to find one is like 30 grand or something.
Oh no.
I actually don't know. I might be wrong. It might actually be 3,000. I definitely overinflated that. I was looking at a different one. So the I don't know if you've seen the Star Wars Battle Pod before. It's like a new version of the Star Wars arcade cabinet from like 1997 or 99 or something, which is something that I played on a lot as a kid. It was my favorite thing in the world. You like fly one of the ships in one of the movies. So the first mission is you're doing the Death Star run in X-Wing, and the second mission is you're doing the snow speeders in Empire Strikes Back, but you actually get to go down, you land, and then you're like firing at stormtroopers. And then in the third mission, you are on one of the speeder bikes in Return of the Jedi on Endor, and then you get off of that, and then you're firing at stormtroopers again. And it was super cool, but it's old. It's like 90s arcade old. So they had a newer one that came out in like 2016 or something, when Disney acquired Star Wars, or way after Disney had acquired Star Wars, but they're like, we're going to start putting stuff out. And they put out the Star Wars Battle Pod, which is like an updated version of this thing. It's nuts. And I looked into how much one of those would cost, and I think that one was 30 grand. It's very expensive, but it's really cool. And one of the barcades that is near me has one, and it's really awesome. Even if you're not a Star Wars fan, it's like one of the coolest things ever. But anyway, so yeah, I want to try and make a cabinet that I can buy a Dreamcast, buy a copy of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and a couple of Dreamcast fight sticks, or just make a deck with all the buttons and stuff and just plug that into the Dreamcast instead of just buying a cabinet, making it easier on myself. Because I'm not usually a handy person, but my dad would totally be into something like that. I think it'd be really fun.
That sounds super awesome. Like that sounds super super cool. I think I still have my Dreamcast actually.
I never owned one. I've never even held one. Well, the controller anyway.
You're not missing much. The controllers are kind of weird.
They look really jagged and painful.
Honestly, they're surprisingly comfortable.
Huh.
Imagine like an old school Xbox controller, but not nearly as fat.
As fat? Yeah.
Yeah.
The
like
Duke.
I would say like, it's the comfort and familiarity of like a GameCube controller.
Mm-hmm.
But like. Just like a smaller version of an Xbox controller, I guess. like it's kind of a really shitty way of explaining it, but like it's like honestly the Dreamcast controllers are actually pretty comfortable to hold. I will admit. I didn't play a whole lot on the Dream Class. I didn't play a whole lot on the Dreamcast. I think the biggest games that I played were Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventure 2. I think I had a Toy Story game for it. I think, and Power Stone 1 and 2. Those were great games. Have you ever played Power Stone?
No, I've never even heard of it.
It's like anime Smash Bros. Basically. It's super fun. There's actually a whole anime for it too, which is awesome. Actually, it's a great anime. But what was I gonna say? I lost it. But yeah, the Dreamcast was actually pretty okay, and then so my uncle, who is also an orthopedic surgeon, like I stated earlier, he used to also be really big into how do I say this? That doesn't sound bad. Obtaining copies of video games without having to pay them.
Okay.
He was very good at that, and he always, like, one of the cool things that he would always do when I was younger was that he would always just give me just like random video games for my Dreamcast or like my PlayStation, and stuff like that. Which is actually how I got into playing Bloody Roar, and other stuff like that, because of he would have them be like, hey, have you ever heard of this game? And I go, no, never. And he's like, oh, like, here, I have a copy.
Here you go.
Try it out. And I go, all right, cool.
I have an extra.
Yeah, it was super
That's cool.
awesome, and it's just really cool. He doesn't do that nearly as much just because of reasons, but
yeah. Well, it's also harder.
Yeah, it's also a lot more difficult. But yeah, the Dreamcast was actually a pretty good system. It was really weird though, because like the peripherals for it never really made sense.
Yeah.
Like you know how like a lot of old school consoles had memory cards?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so like the Dreamcast had a memory card, but you didn't actually need it to save games, though.
Yeah, I don't understand how that works.
It plugged into the controller, and from what I remember of it, you never really actually used it for anything. You just sort of had it. Like I remember, and like I know for Sonic Adventure, you could use the memory card essentially as a Tamagotchi. You would have a Chow Garden, and then in Adventure you would upload your Chow to your memory card, and then it just functioned as essentially as like a Tamagotchi, and it was just like super weird. But it's like you never actually used the memory card to save shit, because I remember I was always able to save stuff to the console itself.
Yeah.
And it was just like yeah, and like the peripherals for the Dreamcast were just so odd.
Strange.
But I will admit that like I think the Dreamcast was definitely a console that was like pretty ahead of its time.
Oh yeah, it's actually
it was, like,
it's kind of unfortunate that it like isn't as popular.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of peripherals, there's
never really took off.
It had a lot of really great games that were ported later, and now.
Man. Yeah. Yeah, it's
original controller.
It's Jesus Christ. It's like this shape, but just
more I've seen them.
and slim. Yeah, slimmed down. Yeah, man. Original Xbox controllers were so bad.
Yeah, I played on one time.
So bad. They're just so fat. I think I still hold on. Give me a second. I think I still have an original Xbox controller. Like,
oof, I definitely don't.
I save like all my stuff. I'm not even a low-key hoarder. I am a hoarder. Like, I legitimately have a problem.
You keep cutting out. I'm assuming you said hoarder.
Yes, I am a hoarder. I would say low-key, but that would be a lie.
Ha.
I am an actual hoarder. I legitimately have a problem. Okay, I don't have one.
So I'm looking on Amazon here, and the controllers for Dreamcast are really expensive, but the memory cards are not. Which is usually the exact opposite for older systems.
Super weird. That's super strange. Yeah. Yeah, I did like the Dreamcast a lot. What's a console? How many consoles have you actually owned in your gaming lifetime?
I don't know.
Out of curiosity.
No.
Okay. I own most of the ones that I've ever owned. So PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, 3, 4, PSP.
Don't include the new remakes of stuff. So don't include the SNES classics.
No, I won't.
Those don't count.
PSP, PS Vita. I've never owned an original Xbox, but I do want to buy one. So I have had a 360, Xbox One. My first Nintendo console was a Game Boy Advance SP. I owned 2 of those, actually. I don't have them anymore. They got stolen.
Oh, that sucks.
A DS. I've 3 3DSs. A Switch. I have an N64, but I've never actually been able to play it because I didn't have the right cables. A Wii U. Have a GameCube now. What else is there? I have an NES, but I've never been able to play it because the cables. Also, it's in a box in storage at my dad's, and I don't know where that is. I think that's about it. I don't think I'm missing anything. Most of the handhelds from the Game Boy Advance forward. Oh, okay. And I did own a Game Boy Color at one point.
Okay. That
my old roommate still owns. Or has. And he gave it to his fiance's son. Which I'm not super stoked about.
Yeah. That sucks, but that's cute at least.
Yeah.
At least it's going to a good cause, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Let me think here. Did you ever have? I guess not, because you said that you have the handhelds you did were Game Boy Advance up.
Yeah.
But there was an old handheld, I think made by Sega. I can't remember what it's called. It's I want to say it's the Sega Genesis, but it's not called that. It's fuck. Let me see if I can figure it. It might have been called I think it was called Sega Game Gear. That's it.
Yeah. The handheld.
I had that. I think that might be the earliest console that I've owned.
Mm-hmm.
In which that was a really fun. The Game Gear's actually really good. It was actually really, really good. I remember there used to be there was a 2D Power Rangers fighting game on it. That was the fucking. It was the best thing. You know the Power Rangers movie?
Yeah. Oh, I love the Power Rangers movie. It's super bad.
Movie. Yeah. So they made a fighting game for the Sega Game Gear.
Oh yeah,
and it was awesome. It was so much fun. But yeah. So I've had a Game Gear. I actually have a Pokemon. I have a Game Boy Pocket actually. So which is the original big brick Game Boys, and then you had the pocket ones, which were just black and white Game Boys. So I have those. I have 3 Game Boy Colors. I have a Game Boy Advance. I have 1 Game Boy SP. I used to have 2. But one of them the screen cracked. And so it was literally unplayable.
Yeah.
I have 3 DSs, a Vita, a PSP. I actually just found a brand new PSP in my basement a couple months ago. It's in the box. It's got it's an original PSP. It's got the headphones, the system itself. It's almost brand new basically.
Hell, I would buy that from you.
Yeah, it's literally sitting 5 feet away from me right now. I have and then I think I had an N64 that I still play occasionally. I have a Wii U. an original Xbox, a GameCube. I have a PlayStation, a PlayStation 1, a PlayStation 2, 3, 4. I almost said 5. I'm trying to think of what else do I have. I think that's Xbox 360, Xbox One, a Switch. I think that's everything. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think that's. Did I say Wii already?
I don't think so.
I think it's it. Okay. Well, I also had a Wii. I never had a Wii U, primarily because I didn't think it was ever necessary since I had a Wii.
It's so I love that I have mine, because you can't find them anymore. They're really expensive, and like there's so many actually good games on it. Like actually there are, and one of the cooler parts about it is the virtual console. So if you didn't have an N64, you can get them on that, because the Wii's virtual console doesn't exist anymore, but the Wii U's still does.
Oh.
So it's like, but getting a Wii U is kind of difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
$248. I got mine for about.
That's not bad. It's still.
But that's a renewed one. A new one is $800. Yeah.
Gross.
But the Pro controllers for the Wii U, you can find at GameStop for like $20. Yeah, and they're really nice. So if I would actually recommend getting one, they're just hard to find.
Yeah.
Especially in like a good condition.
Yeah. What so out of all the consoles that you own, what's the one console or like system that you have the most games for?
Now it's the PS4.
No, now it's the PS4. Okay.
I have like 400 games on the PS4.
On PS4?
Yeah.
Fuck. Shit.
Yeah, I buy a lot of games on PS4, and I've also had PlayStation Plus, like, or almost since.
Okay.
Almost since the system came out.
Yeah.
I got the PS4 about a year after it came out. Because. Yeah, I worked at Target for 9 months. I quit. Or I left like 5 months or so after. No. Yeah, about 5 months after it came out, and then I got a job again. And my first paycheck, I bought a PS4.
I think I got PS4 not immediately, but definitely like a few months after they released.
I was waiting to see how people reacted to it.
Yeah.
That was the biggest. I didn't have money, but I was definitely waiting to see how people reacted to it first.
I definitely got mine as like a Christmas gift, I think.
I didn't want to get my Xbox One. I think I got it because I got it. Like, my friends were like, "Hey, you should get." No, I bought it. I bought it because I wanted to play Halo 5. That's why I got it.
Oh, interesting.
Not worth it.
I know for a fact I got an Xbox One much later. Like, I definitely got a PS4 first, and then I think maybe a year and a half later I got an Xbox One. I don't remember why. Oh, I remember. I know why. I got a PlayStation 4 because of, in high school I had an Xbox 360, but all my friends played on PS3, and so
really? That's the exact.
Yeah. Huh. So like, I mean, like, occasionally we play on like, I had some friends who played on 360, but like all of my like most of my high school friends, they played on PlayStation 3. So when the PS4 dropped, I made sure that I was like, okay, they're all getting a PS4. I'm gonna get a PS4. That way we can all play fucking games together. Because I was tired of not being able to play games with them all the time.
Yeah.
Especially like Call of Duty and stuff like that. Just like weird, like just like odd. Like we could easily play this on 360, but like none of my friends had a 360 for some odd reason. They all
of my friends had 360. None of my friends had PS3s. I actually, so when I quit Target, I also around that same time lost all of my friends, or at least the friends that I had talked to. It was a whole thing. I'll go into that someday on the podcast. But so essentially, I didn't have anybody to worry about who I was going to play games with, and I had purchased a PS3 with some of the last money that I had from my Target job before I got my new one, and I was playing Kingdom Hearts on it. Like, pretty much that was the only game that I was playing. I was like, oh hey, I want to play Kingdom Hearts on a new system because it's going to look really good. And holy shit, those games were terrible. Like, Kingdom Hearts is great. Kingdom Hearts on PS3 is god awful.
Oh yeah.
because of load times. And buffering. Oh shit. Anyway, I was like, I know that the Xbox One is worse. Like, at that point they had been out long enough, and I was like, I don't want to play any Xbox games. Like, I have a 360. No, I sold it. I sold my 360 to my little brother. Anyway, I was like, I'm just gonna get a PS4, and I don't remember why I even wanted it. I think it was Destiny. I think that was the game that I wanted on it the most, because I played Destiny on PS3, which was a thing that you could do. A lot of people didn't know that.
Yeah.
And I got a free copy of Destiny on PS4 because I had it on PS3 early enough. So that's what I mostly played Destiny 1 on, until all my friends were like, hey, you should play Destiny with us on Xbox One. And then I started to play that all the time. Right. And that was one of the other reasons that I had an Xbox. Like, one of the reasons that I used. I bought it exclusively to play Halo 5. Would never do that ever again. I would be glad to have my money back for all of the games that I bought on the Xbox One. So back to your old question. So PS4, 360, PS2. I used to have a lot of PS2 games, but I sold them all, or most of them, so that I could get 360 games. Wish I hadn't done that, because a lot of them are really hard to get now. But I've kind of been working, or I had been working on getting some of the games that I used to own when I was a kid.
Yeah, I think mine would be...
Actually, PS3 might be more.
I'd have to actually count, but I think it's 360, GameCube, PS2. I think are my top three. Yeah.
You really don't have that many PS4 games?
Not really, no. Surprisingly enough, not really. I think I have like 20, 25.
How many games do I have on Steam?
But I think it's because of
339.
Jesus Christ. I think it's because it's spread between Steam and PS4. Yeah, I think it's just spread between those two. And I think if I didn't play on PC, I'd have more on PS4 for sure. But because I got into playing more PC games, it's like a lot of the time I just game on that now. But I'm trying to think what in the world what was one of the first games I played on PS4 was. I can't for the life of me remember. I know for a fact it was something stupid. Like, it was.
Mine was definitely Destiny.
I don't think mine was. I definitely don't think mine was Destiny. I know, because I know for a fact that by the time I played Destiny, Destiny 2 was like a year away, I think. So like all the stuff for Destiny was basically done. Nobody really played it because everyone had already done everything. And I definitely didn't have any friends.
Damn, yeah, holy shit, that's a long time into.
But I want to say I may have played. I think one of the first games I played on PS4 might have been Little Big Planet.
I hate Little Big Planet.
You don't like Little Big Planet? I love Little Big Planet.
Well, okay.
Oh, it's so much fun.
I hate it because I hated it when it was out. and I wasn't a fan of platformers, and I wasn't in the whole cutesy thing. But I'd
that's
probably
fair.
play it again if I ever had the chance.
Dude, it's so much fun. The stuff that you can, the level creation for Little Big Planet, I think is
The level creation is insanely awesome.
because it's so like I love the just like the Rube Goldberg aspect of it.
Yeah,
Like everything
I
is like
love the
all
design now.
mechanical and like the design for it is so cool.
I even bought character skins for the game. I bought the Flash. I think I bought Isaac Clarke.
Nice. Yeah.
And I can't remember who else. Cloud?
I definitely really love doing character creation for Little Big Planet, just with all the different outfits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of Little Big Planet, there's the new game I think made by Media Molecule called Dreams.
Yeah, Xavier and I have done a ton of the custom games on those. They're so fun. Yeah.
I've seen a bunch of stuff on Twitter of like people like reenacting like full blown like TV scenes, like movie scenes in it. Like
we played
super cool.
Jenga for like an hour. Yeah, dude, it was so fun.
Okay, wait. So you played Dreams, right?
Yeah, I played it in the pre.
What is
purchase
it?
thing.
Because I don't understand. Is it just like pure like level game creator, or like what is it? I don't get it.
Yeah, so people can create their own games inside of the system. It's basically like video game maker on PS4, and then you just upload them and people can play them. They're generally pretty small.
Okay.
I haven't tested any of the systems. We were just playing it to play some of the more fun ones. Yeah. And dude, there's actually a lot of really fun games on it. I mean, granted, we generally did like the easier ones, and there's a lot of shit on there too, but you can tell when people have put in a lot of time. It's insane because I don't know if everything is coming directly from the game itself, because every game looks vastly different, and some of them can look really detailed and super great, and some of them can look like dog crap. We played this one. It was essentially, it was an intentionally bad Sonic game, but you were like a wolf instead, but you were a fast blue wolf. And
Interesting.
The game was bad, but it was still designed like with a purpose and functioned fine. So the fact that somebody managed to make a Sonic game, and then we also played Jenga, like there's so many applications for the game, for the
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really
That's
cool. I would
super cool.
definitely check it out.
Awesome.
A lot of Jenga was mostly motion controlled, which is really interesting. So you have a pointer that you have with the PS4 controller. I'm assuming it's on the light bar, right? Or is essentially kind of that's your center.
Yeah.
And then you do use the buttons. So you would, I can't remember if it was like R2 or X, but you would hover the cursor over whatever block you were going to try and grab, and you would grab it again with R2 or X, and then you would just yank it. You just throw your controller one way or the other. Yeah. And it was so fun. We like an hour and a half tops.
That's cool.
It was so cool.
That's super super awesome.
Dreams is awesome.
That's fucking dope.
Yeah.
Alright, well, we are nearing
2.5 hours in.
hours right now. So
Yeah.
if we wanted to talk about one more thing, I think we could, or we could call it here. I don't know what you want to do.
Well, actually, I think it's a good place to stop. I still have a list of some things that I want to get to, but they're definitely longer talking points.
Okay.
So pretty much the only thing that was on my list we took care of immediately. I don't know if we took care of any of the stuff that you had.
Yeah,
if you have anything written down.
I'm pretty good. I only had one more thing that I really wanted to talk about, essentially. Yeah. But that we can save that.
Well,
for
shoot
whatever.
it really quick. What
Well, I was just gonna talk about video game movies just in general.
Video game movies?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Let's do that really quick.
Just oh, okay. So the Sonic movie came out on Valentine's
awesome.
Day, I think. Yeah. So okay, one, I really want to see it. Two, it got me thinking about just video game movies in general, and I just started thinking about like what are some video games that would make really good movies or as really good TV shows that have not already been made already.
Okay. Well,
so like obviously like Assassin's Creed got made, wasn't that great?
I actually heard that it was okay. I've never seen it.
Wasn't that great? I've heard mixed things about Assassin's Creed, that it was okay, but at the same time it was just kind of like it really wasn't like it wasn't saying that it was based off Assassin's Creed wasn't true. Like it just kind of was just a sci-fi movie, which is really upsetting because it was like, oh well, that was kind of the.
I heard Hitman was really bad.
The whole point of it was like you wanted it to be about Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
I don't remember much about Hitman.
I actually just recently was watching some YouTube video and they were talking about this same subject. And one of the games that you have told me that you would really like to see in a movie was the subject of why that specific game could not be made into a movie, and that was BioShock.
Yeah.
And their points actually brought up a lot of things that I was like, huh. Like it literally immediately made me think of this conversation because you really like that game and you thought that it could be a good movie.
Absolutely love it.
The thing is, I'm probably not going to be able to hit all of the points that they did, but it's really about the perspective of the game. Is like everything is expositional because the character doesn't. There is no character. It is you. And if you try and do that in a movie, is really hard because there's no inner dialogue. There's barely any outward dialogue from the character in BioShock. So to do that as a character in a movie is harder, especially since it's like it's one of the things that they mentioned was the use of plasmids are really only there for gameplay purposes, because to put them in the movie would just be like, oh hey, that was in the game, haha. But
well, so here's the thing about that is that's why if I ever wanted BioShock to be a movie, I want it to be based on actually the book, because there's a book called BioShock Rapture.
A precursor.
Yeah, it's a prequel to the original BioShock game. So it's the whole foundation of Rapture being built, Andrew Ryan's kind of like idea of how he does it, and then also like it sets the stage for who Andrew
Atlas
Ryan
and
is,
everybody.
who Atlas is, Frank Fontaine. Like I think that would be such a great either movie or even TV show, because it sets the stage for everything to happen.
Yeah. But then people would expect a BioShock, the first game movie.
Yeah,
and
but even
after watching that, I don't think it would work.
I mean, I think it could work. I just think it'd be really difficult, just because
I don't think it would translate well, because it's all about you being in the perspective of that person and learning about things.
I mean, yeah, that's true. But even still, it's like they could, if you spin it correctly, because the precursor even talks about some of this, like who the main character in BioShock is.
Does he even have a name?
I don't think so. I don't think he does have a name. But he's supposed to be, because he's supposed to be a
clone
of Andrew Ryan, actually.
Yeah.
And so like it's again, like if you do it correctly, I think it could work out, but it's really hard.
I think the prequel would translate a lot better than the actual game.
Yeah, 100. Yeah, I 100% agree. I think a prequel would be so interesting, especially to kind of see that, because it really does. It sets up the world so easily, and it gives you a clear picture of like, this is how it starts. Here's your climax, falling action. epilogue. Done.
Well, I mean, I think that's also because it's written as a book.
That's also true too.
And there's not necessarily a lot of expository dialogue in a book, because you don't have to explain things about gameplay to
that's true.
In a book sense. Like, there's a lot of games that don't have to explain gameplay. Dark Souls doesn't necessarily explain gameplay.
Yeah.
I think that could actually be a cool movie, because you could just have a completely silent protagonist going through and murder-lating monsters. I think that could work. I think it would probably work better as like an anime, like a Dark Souls anime would be probably pretty dope.
Would be so awesome.
Like, think about that.
That would be so amazing to watch, dude. I'd watch that.
I think God of War would make a really good movie. God of War's 1, 2, and 3, because there's a lot of like, when you really break it down, a lot of the game is really just kind of tedious taking care of mobs, but you could just have Kratos go through and hit the highlights of the bosses in all the games, from all the games, in each movie or whatever, and you get the gist. Like, you could get the entire story, just cut down on the amount of tedium that he has to go through, running through long hallways, solving stupid puzzles, and then just hit, the bosses and the bombastic, like, super giant set pieces, him crawling over Kronos and getting Pandora's box and then turning giant. I think that would be really cool and, like, kind of very actiony, and you could do it as an R-rated movie, because that's being very popular right now, because it is very, like, you can't dumb that game down. If you try to make that game a T game, it's not going to work. If you try and make it a PG-13 movie, it's not going to work.
Right.
What else was I thinking? So, Dark Souls, Knights of the Old Republic would be really good. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. The thing about that and a lot of games is that those are player choice based games.
Yeah, I think because I was also thinking about, like, if Dragon Age might be interesting, but Dragon Age would also be really difficult because there are so many choices that you can make in the game.
Because you can choose your race, because you can choose your class, because you can do. The thing about Knights of the Old Republic...
That's also why I was also thinking that Dragon Age 2 would be better,
because there's one character and one class.
Specific character.
Yeah. Knights of the Old Republic works because there is a canon set of events. Mm-hmm. Because of the way that the media after that game came out has stated, oh, this is what happened at the end of the game. So it doesn't necessarily diminish any certain person's choices. It's just like, this is how the actual Star Wars universe progressed from this point, because this is what we have stated. It doesn't, I don't think, like, I think you can play the game whatever way you want, but there is a current, like, definitive version, So I think that game would work because of that. I think Dead Space could also be really good, because there's not a lot of expository teaching.
And Dead Space does a really good job at purposely leaving things out. Yeah. So that way it leaves you with a lot to imagine, and as a horror game, like, I think it's a really good. It does a really good job at keeping you on your toes, and so even as a movie, that could be really, really great. Like, I can fully, like, visualize just, like, if you, like, not even just, like, not like one for one, but, like, you can literally just take the game itself and just turn it into a live action movie. And
especially the first one. The first one would work the best.
The first one would work the best. It works incredibly well. Mm-hmm. Just like
the natural progression of that game is very well done, because all of the like little extra stuff you don't need to do, and it doesn't necessarily add to the story. It adds to the the backdrop, and the history.
Anything either. You're not
you don't lose anything
as to, like, oh, okay, I don't get this and that I'm lost now. But it's like, it's just like, it leaves enough out that you it keeps your mind going. It keeps you guessing of like, okay, well, what's this and what's this and what's this? I'm like, oh, does that factor into something? And do I need to be worried about this?
I think a big thing about games and progression is that like that can be hard to translate into movies is like when a character gets something new that helps them, like a new gun.
Yeah.
But Dead Space wouldn't necessarily have that problem because, like we were saying, it has a natural progression, so you get that when you need it. And Isaac would get that, or he would get the pulse rifle when he needs it. You know, it's not like all of a sudden he just pulls this out of his ass.
Yeah, and it's fluid enough that it's like I don't remember how you get the pulse rifle. I think you just kind of find it off a body,
you can buy it.
Or you just buy
you buy it from the store, but there's a certain point when you can buy it when that starts being useful.
Yeah, like it's a natural of like like you said, like it's a natural tie-in of like either he would just like in the movie, like he would either just find it or maybe someone tosses to him. Like there's an easy way to incorporate it and like because like similar to the game where it's like it's a very easy way to say, hey, you have this tool now, but it's not like it's realistic enough of like, oh yes, that makes sense of why he has that tool now.
Yeah. I think
of other stuff.
Luigi's Mansion could be cool. Legitimately, I think it would be really good. I was thinking about what games, like what movies have been games that were shit, and I was like, fighting games have been really terrible because Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter have had movies based on them, and I was like, oh, Mario wouldn't work, but Luigi's Mansion could work really well.
I think, well, yeah.
It can't take itself seriously.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Like, and like, I guess with Luigi's Mansion is,
it's point A to B to it's linear.
Yeah, well, I mean, not even just that. It's not even just linear. It's that like Luigi just as a character himself is not a hero per se.
No,
like, it's not. He does not depict the hero. Like I guess.
No.
Mario, it's like with Mario, it's like I would essentially kind of describe Mario kind of like Superman. Like he can basically do anything.
Anything that he needs to do within his story.
Yeah, and it's very.
But Luigi doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
And like with Luigi's very relatable in the fact that it's like he'll figure it out, yes, but the process to figure out is going to be a whole task.
Yeah.
Which is very like it's very easy to kind of write stuff for that, and it makes for very compelling narratives. I think.
Did you ever see Speed Racer?
Like the live action one?
Yeah.
I want to say yes, and I also want to say I may have repressed it.
I've actually heard really good things about it.
I remember it being very like bright.
Yeah, it's
saturated,
visually really
like, very
interesting.
Like visually, it's a lot to take in visually.
But so that movie did not get rated very well. But I've heard that it has a really big fandom behind it. Because it tried a whole lot of new things. Just because they didn't necessarily work and the acting wasn't 100% on point doesn't mean that it doesn't have a lot of really good redeeming qualities. So that made me think about F-Zero. Would be interesting. I don't think it would necessarily work because Captain Falcon doesn't really have a storyline behind him, as far as I know, because he's had 2 games. Because there was, F-Zero on the SNES, and there was F-Zero GX on GameCube. As far as I know, that's it.
But
it could be really interesting. Oh, and there's also the arcade machine.
Yeah, there's a game I'm thinking about. I can't remember what it is, but it's similar to F-Zero and Speed Racer. It's very similar. But it would make for actually a
just
very
not
good
Need
movie.
for Speed.
It's not Need for Speed.
Because they made a Need for Speed movie.
God,
it was very bad.
I can't think of it. It's like.
What system was it on?
I don't remember. I'm trying to think of what it could be. Maybe I'm just making it up. I don't even know. But like, it was like F-Zero, in the fact that it was like an anti-gravity, like racing game, but it did have a story to it, and it was actually a really good story. I don't know. I can't remember what it is. Yeah, I got nothing. I can't.
Oh, wait. There's Power Drive 2000, Extreme Gravity Racing. I just thought of Kinetica, but that doesn't really have a story.
Kinetica's a good game, though.
Kinetica is great.
Kinetica's really great. I was really bad at it when I was a kid.
Wipeout? Is it Wipeout?
It's not Wipeout. Wipeout doesn't have a story. It's just racing. Also a good game, though.
Velocity G, Trailblazers, Anti-Grav, Redout, Fast Racing Neo, Sonic Freeriders, Audio Surf,
Not Audio
Kirby
Surf.
Air Ride,
Audio Surf.
X-Gra Extreme G
I would-
Racing Association.
This might just be me being that I love Kirby Air Riders, but I would watch a Kirby Air Riders movie.
I would totally watch it. I would just watch a
100%.
Kirby movie.
Kirby Air Riders is such an awesome game. So
The
good.
Kirby show was really good.
Kirby Show was good. Yeah, Kirby Show was really good.
Um,
Man,
what?
maybe
So,
I'm just making it up. I don't know though.
Persona's obvious. That's easy. Mostly because they've made an anime.
Yeah, it's like they made an anime for Persona. I'm trying to think of like a Final Fantasy game that would.
I want to
good.
see a Final Fantasy movie that doesn't suck. And Advent Children is great. That is one that doesn't suck. It hasn't
I did like
aged
it.
well.
No,
I watched
but
it
was
recently.
good,
It hasn't aged well.
though. That's unfortunate. I should watch Advent Children.
It's
'Cause I
mostly the
remember-
acting is very stilted.
Okay.
For certain.
Yeah,
certain characters.
I remember watching Advent Children because again this was before I played the game, and I remember everything. I remember being really frustrated because there were a lot of things about it that I was just kind of like, if it was a lot of problems with Cloud. Like Cloud would do something, and I'm like, if you would just talk to people about this,
Right.
we could avoid so many things. We could avoid so many problems. Which is really funny because of seeing Cloud in 7. Cloud's very vocal in 7. I did not realize this.
Yeah.
I did not
he's not a
realize how-
silent protagonist.
Yeah, I did not realize how vocal Cloud was in the
A
actual
lot
Final
of people
Fantasy
think
7
he's
game.
just a completely silent protagonist.
Yeah, he's just like super. Like he's always depicted as like
and
a
he's
silent, brooding type, and it's like,
Yeah.
that's not what he is at all.
No. I mean,
That's
especially
definitely not
like
what he
at the
is.
beginning of the game, he is more of a brooding, quiet. He's not silent. He's quiet.
Quiet, yeah.
But
like,
then by the
even
time
still,
he like starts to regain his memories,
yeah,
he's kind of annoying.
Yeah, he is.
But
He's,
in like
super annoying.
a charming way, you know.
Yeah,
You're just like,
I
oh
mean,
my
like,
god, he needs
it's
to
just-
shut
yeah.
up now.
Yeah, but it's just like, but yeah, every time, like, in all other games, he's always depicted as like this silent, brooding, like, cool, tough exterior. I'm like, no, it's wrong.
Yeah.
It's so wrong, actually. Man,
I think
I would be really interested to see. Maybe this might just be because I haven't played 11 in forever, and it's because we were talking about it earlier. But like an 11
game.
anime would be interesting. Anime movie or whatever would be interesting. But I know for a fact that 11's story is really slow.
13
Like,
would be
it's-
terrible. I would
13
love to
would
watch
make
it,
no sense.
but it would be so bad.
I mean, really, you just play the cutscenes from 13.
Yeah,
That's-
but even then they're
that's
bad.
what it is.
They're
It
so
would not be
bad.
great.
I would
It would
absolutely
not be
love to
great.
watch it though.
I would be so lost.
I think
would be
10
so
would do well. Would
don't
translate
would,
well.
actually. I don't think it would.
At least the story's
Honestly.
coherent. Sort of. Well, there's a lot of
I
subliminal
guess.
stuff in it,
Yeah, I guess like
and people
a little
like
bit.
that.
I think 10 would work, but I think you'd have to tweak it a little.
12 would do really well.
12 would actually do very, very well.
12 and 9.
Chaotic 9. Yeah, 9
Because of
would
the
do
like, I
okay.
think it has
Nine's
a more
linear
broad
enough,
appeal, but 12 actually has like a really amazing world. It's
Yeah, I
not
would
super
actually-
complicated.
Yeah, I know that Chaotic really loves 12. I actually, like, legitimate. I think 12
I need to play it.
might be my favorite Final Fantasy game. I think it like, barely passes 10. Just barely.
I never played it. I own it.
It's great. It's
15
so
would do. It would be so boring.
Oh, it's so bad. 15 would be so bad. But I like 12. I think 12 would do the best because, one, the world's super interesting. The characters are very not appealing, but like they're very interesting, but also very complex.
Mm-hmm.
And like the plot of 12 is it's very realistic, I think, because it's not like super like this god tier almighty being is destroying the world.
Yeah.
The plot of 12 is really it's literally like it's two nations going to war, caught in like essentially a civil war, and then in between those two nations is another like city state that is just caught in the crossfire, and
Mm-hmm.
it centers around these characters that are caught in this war, in this conflict, and it's honestly like, yeah, 12 is great. 12 is actually great, and like, it does a decent job at like introducing characters and tying certain stories in. Like, there's actually a point where one of the characters you meet, Ash, she is like needs help getting to a place, and one of the main characters, Balthier, he's a sky pirate, and he literally, it's just like, Ash is like, will you help me? And like classic Final Fantasy, they'd be like, yeah, of course, obviously, and Balthier's just like, no. Why did we do that? That's dumb. That has literally nothing to do with us. And it's like, and like Ash has to actually like bribe them to help her, and it's like, yeah, this like everything makes complete sense. Honestly, it's the most. I think 12 is probably the most easy to digest storyline.
It's self-contained.
Yeah,
like it doesn't detract from itself too much.
Yeah,
and there's not a whole lot of like there's one side game, and it was on the DS.
Yeah,
you know,
and
Final Fantasy VII has a bunch of outside content.
Yeah.
And
then again,
I
like,
wrote
I think,
a whole list now. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Again, I think 10 would be good, but again, I think you have to tweak some stuff.
Yeah. No. The more that you talk about it, 10 would be good
as a series. Like, not like a movie, but maybe like a small series. I think 10 would be really good.
So there is one Final Fantasy game that I think would do better than everything, and that is Tactics. Yeah. Because it's a very Shakespearean story, and it's from the perspective of two characters.
Okay.
Who are like brothers. I've never played it, but I got an overview from a YouTube video a while ago, and it's like they're brothers from two different nations, or they're like brothers from two different nations, and their nations go to war, and it's just seeing this progression of their lives from opposite sides, and that's not an uncommon thing, and it's a story structure that's been done 1,000 times, but the story itself is really engaging, and it's literally just Tactics is, self-explanatory. It's like Fire Emblem, but Fire Emblem can be really cool because you wouldn't necessarily have it be turn-based, but you would just see these really tactical, bird's eye view battles would be really interesting to see. I think, because it starts with like a story that is easy to convey, and then the gameplay can kind of fit in there. If a game doesn't have an easy to translate story, it's going to be really hard to put into a movie. Yeah. And I think that 12 and Final Fantasy Tactics have really concise stories.
Yeah.
The more that I think about it, 10 would be hard.
Yeah, again, I think 10 as a series would be really, really good. But as like a standalone movie, I don't think it would work. There's too much that you have to set up.
Yeah.
For 10 for it to really, really make sense.
You want to know a game? So it's one of the most popular series. ever, and I think it would make a really good movie, is Call of Duty.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because it's so easy.
Yeah, it's super easy. It's super simple.
Just pick any of the Call of Duties and make that any of the campaigns and make that a movie. You're done. Blockbuster.
So there
would
is.
sell so many tickets.
I found this out on Twitter. Apparently, there is an Animal Crossing anime. Yeah.
Interesting.
I saw it on Twitter. There was like a clip of the dog, KK Slider. And he's just holding a concert. And it's like it was a whole anime about Animal Crossing. And I was like, I need this. Like, I need to watch this anime so bad now, because this is awesome. But
I've never really gotten into Animal Crossing. I know the new one's coming out soon.
Yeah, it's fun. Like, it's just an adult simulator. Like, really, it is. You buy a house, you pay your house off, you put furniture in it, you make nice with your neighbors.
It's more engaging Sims.
It's like you occasionally catch bugs and fish and find fossils. Like, there's nothing really all that interesting in Animal Crossing.
I'll probably get the new one when it comes out.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna get the new one. I love Animal Crossing. It's so much fun. I was actually talking to a friend of mine, and he was saying he's like, yeah, I don't really like Animal Crossing, which is odd because like I really like Stardew Valley, and I'm like, well, yeah, because Stardew Valley has a point. Animal Crossing doesn't have a point. There's no end game to Animal Crossing. You just play it, and then eventually you just stop playing it. Like, at least with Stardew, you have farming, and that actually does something. If anything, Animal Crossing just teaches you how to be a hoarder or a very good interior designer.
Yeah.
It's one of those two things.
You played Shadow of the Colossus, right?
Yes.
Tell me Shadow of the Colossus would not be the coolest movie ever.
I think as a... I don't know. Like, I think Shadow of the Colossus, again, I think would do good as a series.
Really?
But I don't think it would... Yeah, because as a movie...
There's again, not a lot you need to know about it.
Yeah, but I think seeing all the different... I think it's the same thing with Dark Souls. Dark Souls as an anime would be really, really good.
Yeah, okay. Shadow of the Colossus as an anime would be really cool.
Yeah, because like Shadow of the Colossus is almost essentially like Dark Souls, just less hardcore.
I'm trying to think. Think of like a slower, more ambient Pacific Rim. Just how intense some of those moments were, but take them to a person on one of the kaijus, and then just like I don't know, like obviously they're not in cities. It's just a very somber, slow.
I think it would be great, but again, as a movie, I think like there's too much of a disconnect there.
I think you're right.
You just see it happen, and it's like, okay,
because you don't want to see the character just going from Colossus to Colossus too fast. Yeah, but in an anime, you could have a whole episode of the dude just traveling.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Shadow Colossus is. You just go from boss to boss to boss. There really is no. There's no exposition there.
No.
And I think and in a movie
you don't need it.
You'd have to write it in, but that would detract from it at that point. Let's
Drakengard.
Oof, boy. Drakengard would be a whole fucking thing.
Yeah, that'd be an anime series.
That's for sure anime right there.
Or like 20 series.
Hardcore anime series. I'm like, oh.
1 through 3 would translate okay.
I would, dude. 3 would translate up into the end. Then you would just be confused because
you could just have a bajillion endings. That would be so cool.
That actually would be really, really fun. I mean, that's basically what Drakengard 3 did anyways.
Yeah.
but even said like the true ending. I would love to see how they would do it in an anime, just because I want to know how do you simulate the DDR music ending of
That would be
Dragon
so
Guard 3?
cool. That
I'm
would
just
be
like, how
so
do you
awesome.
do it? God, I played. I think I told you this beforehand, but there was one day that I was like really hankering to play Dragon Guard. Like I was I was like, man, I really want to play this game again. And I watched my stream of it, and immediately I was like, I no longer want to play this game now. All urges have died because I don't want to have to do this again. This was awful. Oh, have you seen, this is a little off track, but have you seen the Netflix is remaking Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back?
It's Netflix now?
Yeah, it's on Netflix. It's gonna be on Netflix, I think. I saw it on YouTube, and it was Netflix. They used the Netflix YouTube channel, but they're remaking Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back, but they're using the Pokemon Evolution like animation style.
I didn't know it was on Netflix.
Yeah. It looks great. Everything about it looks great, except for the people in it.
Oh, really?
Like just like if you look at like the first, like, because they do like a 1-for-1 recreation of the trailer actually, and if you look at all of the actual like human character models, they just look so boring. Like they don't really have, oddly enough, they don't really have facial expressions compared to how they were drawn in anime. At least personally for me, I don't think. And they also just look dumb. Like they just look like, if you look at Ash looks so fucking stupid. He looks like a fucking like shitty claymation figurine. And it looks just so off. Everything, like all the Pokemon look great, but like the people in it is just like that's just not right. It's super weird. But I'm trying to just think of like games that I played that had really interesting storylines. Do you think Batman would do good? Batman Arkham Asylum?
Oh yeah, it's the best Batman story ever.
I think Arkham would do good. Yeah, I think they should be good.
Arkham and Arkham City.
Is that the second one?
Yeah, those two would go really well.
Okay. All right. Well, I think on that note, I think that's probably a good place for us.
I have a couple more, but we can continue.
Well, let's list them off rapid fire.
Okay. Metal Gear Solid.
Okay.
God Hand and Ashura's Wrath.
I don't know what those are.
They are. You should definitely check out Ashura's Wrath. It's a very good game. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just really good. Capcom made it. It's a PS3 game. Well, it's not just a PS3 game, but it is. You should get it. Unfortunately, the true ending you have to buy.
What?
You have to buy the ending. It's like $6.
What?
They're but it's a great game.
What?
You should definitely check it out.
Like just what?
Yeah. But if you you should you could go on YouTube and look at let's see, they do those dumb cinematic things, right?
Yeah.
So you could just do the cinematics for the entire game, and it's just take a look at them. They're really cool.
Okay.
Anyway, that was all I had in mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think again, since I've never really played Metal Gear Solid, I don't have a whole lot of basis for it. But I think Metal Gear Solid would be pretty good. I could see it as a movie for sure. Anime definitely, but yeah, a movie actually wouldn't be too bad.
No.
A movie would not be too difficult. Trying to think here. They made Resident Evil movies, didn't they?
Yeah, they're bad.
Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure they made them. I'm pretty sure they were really trash.
Some of them are fun.
I'm pretty sure they were not great. I feel like there's one that I'm like thinking of that like actually would be really really great, but I just can't. I can't quite think of anything. I think actually a Rocket League movie actually might be pretty good.
And that's weird.
Like I think Rocket League would be. I think you could set it to. You could actually. I think you could create a compelling enough like individual story, and then have the basis of like the mechanics of Rocket League be your like focal point basically. Like have it just be like a Remember the Titans sports movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be great. I'd watch it legitimately.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, it's like you have like you could have like scenes of like they're drifting around, they're boosting, they're trying to like get the ball, and like they're doing like flips or like they're like rocket boosting into the air, like how like pro Rocket League players do it. I think that actually would be pretty fucking cool. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I would check that out.
Yeah, and then like you could have like a scene where fucking someone gets annihilated when they get run over by one of the cars and stuff like that. I think that'd be great. Honestly, I think that'd be awesome.
Oh boy.
All right. Well, I think that's definitely a good stopping point.
Oh yeah.
For this episode of the C+ podcast, I definitely want to thank people who tune in for all this stuff. Again, this is our second test episode, so we're still kind of workshopping stuff, getting a feel for how we want to plan stuff out, and also plan out how we want to kind of present this content to you. Where I think we both kind of agree that we kind of want to do a little bit more visual, more video style podcast rather than just audio. Like always, though, you can always find Hex and I on our respective Twitch channels at twitch.tv/HexGinko and twitch.tv/Shin. You can also find us on other various social media, Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. But yeah, I mean, I have nothing else left to say. Do you?
No, I'm all good.
All right, yeah. So, well, I am Shogun Shin. That's been Hex Ginkgo, and thanks for tuning in. Please consider liking, sharing, commenting on what you want us to talk about next, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye,
Take care.
everybody.